Uh-oh. Episode 20. Episode 20.
The big 2-0?
The 2-0. When did that happen?
Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O.
Gorilla Banter Podcast. I'm your host, Brock Washington. Dillon Fraley.
How's it going?
Matt, we don't know where he went. He literally said, I have plans.
Fucking mad.
I'm going to catch him. Catch him in the corner. And we got a guest. Good buddy of the show. Somebody we roll with all the time. I'm just going to say Mike. Hey, do you go by Mike or Michael?
Whenever I introduce myself, I always say Michael.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really care too much, to be honest with you. A lot of people back home call me Nathe.
Just Nathe? Just by your last name?
Mm-hmm.
I don't go by my last name.
Yeah.
Even in the military.
It's even weirder to introduce yourself as your last name, right?
Not really. I mean, Fraley, I've seen you do both.
Well, I mean, the Army, that's
yeah,
kind
you
of
put
a
on that
formality.
thing. Yeah, I don't do it, though.
Yeah. Well, you're really different. And I like that.
I don't.
You kind of try to add that personality to yourself in the very beginning. You don't let any separation go until, like, you need to be an asshole.
I can do that pretty well, though.
Yeah. Always. Like 5 minutes ago. Back to Mike.
Back to Mike.
I say Mike. I always say Mike.
I'm going to say Mike, this whole thing. That's the reason why I was asking. I mean, you assume you know things about a buddy, right? Mm-hmm. But then sometimes when you just straight up ask, then you're like, oh, I didn't know.
Shit. He just introduced himself as Michael. I was like, in a year and a half, I've never called you Michael.
Well, and the reason why I ask is because everybody I know just says, hey, Mike.
Yeah.
But then I've even noticed on his Facebook, he types out Michael as his name. And usually people write their name as what they go by.
The only thing I don't like is Mikey.
Mikey.
And maybe it's because
the
only person that calls me Mikey is my mom.
You just set yourself up there, buddy.
It's a set-aside special for the mom.
Just a little surprised that Brock went through the research to see what you type your own name as in Facebook. As you were talking, I saw the wheel spinning in Mike's head, and he's like, what the hell?
Hey, I operate on another level.
So you know what? Talking about guests, and I always thought of Mike, the one thing that really made me want to get him on here more than anything is between the three of us, we got to be looking at over 10 countries that we've all visited, and I don't have very many, and you don't have very many. I know most of that list is coming from this man right
absolutely.
here. He has seen the world.
Yeah, I enjoy traveling. I went after I graduated with my master's degree. I just decided I wanted to go on a backpacking trip, and so I just standard picked Western Europe, picked a few countries around there, tried to get a bunch of my friends to come with me. But, everybody's, I got to do this, I got to do that. Nobody would really commit to it. So in the end,
it's a big commitment, though.
Yeah, it's a huge commitment. Yeah, I don't blame anybody.
Hey, you want to hike the Appalachian Trail?
You see the way my bank account's set up.
Yeah. Hold on, let me set aside 6 months worth of funds.
Exactly. But, in the end, I was just like, screw it, I'm going to do it. And so I just went by myself and just decided to go everywhere I could. And since then, I went to Peru after that. And I've got more planned out, but I don't know. I don't think I'll ever be able to see everywhere that I want to.
Where were you born at?
I was born in St. Louis, Missouri. I grew up there.
And went to high school there, graduated high school.
Right.
Where'd you go to college?
Went to college in Springfield, Missouri at Missouri State, and then went to grad school in Edwardsville, Illinois, which is just right across the river from St. Louis in Illinois.
And what's your BS in?
My bachelor's was in psychology, and then I got my master's in industrial organizational psychology, which is basically like the study of human behavior within organizations.
How is that different from sociology?
Because it's specifically in like a workplace environment.
The workplace.
Right, yeah.
Okay. When there's competition.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's a big part of it. Talent management's a big piece of it. We call it talent management. So, like, performance reviews and developing people to become better at what they do, stuff like that.
If they want to.
If they want to, yeah. It's not going to happen if they don't want to.
The big key to 80% of human behavior, if they want to. I'd say almost like maybe even 90%, if you want to. Right?
Yeah.
No?
100%.
I would say, yeah.
There's certain
I'm just thinking,
limitations. Obviously.
I'm just thinking like addiction. I'm trying to think of one person that ever got off of something and they didn't want to. I don't think that happens, right?
Besides like environmental, like restraints.
I mean, within reasonable limitations, I feel like anyone can almost do anything they want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you really wanted to do something and you set aside your time and your motivation to get it done, pretty much anybody can get anything done.
That being said, if you have no hands, you will not be the thumb wrestling
Yeah,
champion
exactly.
of the
Within
world.
reasonable limitations.
Maybe you can use the whole nub. I don't know the
said
rules.
thumb wrestling.
I don't know the rules. Maybe you have to like grab onto his arm. I don't know. Does it say fingers have to be interlocked?
I thought the whole concept was putting my thumb on top of your thumb.
I thought it was just to hold down your thumb.
I'm not going to argue semantics of thumb wrestling with you.
I was just wondering, what are the rules? I'm sure there's. I just found out there's like a tag you're it national championships, like 18, 19-year-old kids. It was some sort of video I saw that came out.
I saw that too.
Isn't
And they
it
have
It's like an arena,
like obstacle courses.
Yeah,
and stuff.
like these guys are
cool.
like almost doing parkour playing tag.
Yeah.
If that makes it to the Olympics before jiu-jitsu, I'm fucking out. I'm so done with life.
I don't know, because sometimes I watch judo and think, should that be an Olympic sport?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know, because all I ever see of judo are the highlights, and the highlights are freaking great.
Yeah.
They're great, but
Yeah.
but then you watch it and then they're, yes, there's some guys that do some amazing things, but there's a lot of guys that also just stall. Sacrificial leg trip. Oh, that didn't make it. Oh, I get my one advantage. I'm out.
You get the same thing in jiu-jitsu. though.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, there's some issues. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm just saying off the cuff. Maybe all of it together. Maybe we need to do away with wrestling. Maybe we need to do away with judo and just put everything in there and make it just like a submission grappling.
Go back to pancration.
That quite possibly is the birthplace of all this. There is text and manuscripts of the Greeks showing arm bars and stuff like that. When they would do their wrestling drills, they knew.
Yeah.
They knew the keel lock and all those things. They knew them. And so we always have to go back. Well, how much did India become the central place of the world with all the judo, sambo, all these types of things? They all seem to have happened somewhere around there and just kind of emancipated themselves out to becoming their each little thing. And
how much was lost?
how much has been just refound?
That's what I've always wondered. Like, you look back.
Well, I occasionally put little things on my Facebook and stuff like that. Like, they'll show like a 1940s judo champion, and they have like a few pictures and showing their techniques, and you're like, that's the same thing. We didn't change. We didn't change anything. I think a lot of it's just been rediscovery, and that's one of the things about mixed martial arts. I have no doubt that when karate was first made, it was effective.
Oh yeah,
I have no doubt. Why? Because effective was all that was left. I have no doubt that Ip Man, when he made Wing Chun, was effective. I mean, there's proof, in like the history of that him defeating multiple opponents at one time and things like that. I have no doubt that there was something there.
I kind of wonder though, because you see those type of striking self-defense martial arts, and coming from what we do, self-defense in the grappler's perspective and closing the distance and maintaining distance.
Yeah.
You look at guys nowadays and they'll do demonstration, or they'll have quote unquote fights where they do take on multiple attackers, but it's almost like they've already drank the Kool-Aid.
Yes.
Like this throat punch that I did completely disables this guy, and he hits the ground, and it's like, holy crap, that dude just took on 3 guys that were coming at him. Well, he took on 3 guys that were coming at him, knowing that whenever he touched them, they couldn't do anything about it. And so
one of Ip Man's students was Bruce Lee, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that little line there. Okay. So, and then Bruce Lee trained with Chuck Norris, and they both, and Chuck Norris taught him grappling techniques and things like that. It's a very small circle. I just don't think. I think what happens is the drinking of the Kool-Aid with the master who somehow magically gets this black belt that you can't ever find a tree for, even in some of these striking arts. And yeah, I think it's just he's been feeding them Kool-Aid because he's basically just a crappy cult leader.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I don't see any other way about it. Like in my head when I'm like, how did he get to this point? Oh, he knows he's full of crap. But then the next guy, the next generation
doesn't know. Full, yeah, and he's completely confident.
Because in the 60s and 70s, there was the dojo wars of the karate. I mean, I don't know if you know about that, but like guys would storm each other's gyms, karate gyms, and they would fight each other. So there was effectiveness then. And then somewhere around the time that stopped, somewhere late 70s, early 80s, is when the bull crap happened.
Well, I mean, head kicks 100% work.
Yeah, absolutely.
But here's head kicks definitely work, and I feel like head kicks work even more whenever two people are trying to head kick each other the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about that.
So you think the ineffectiveness of some of these arts has anything to do with like the rule sets that have been built around them?
Absolutely.
Because I feel like that happens a lot.
Well, I mean, look at like a lot of your modern karate tournaments.
Exactly.
If my toe touches your chest, I get that point. So I don't. Now, on the flip side, a good tournament setup in certain karate styles that have really good tournaments. Next thing you know, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and MVP are coming out of those backgrounds where they was a little more full contact. We're just touching them. You had to legitimately kick the guy, and now a point's awarded.
Yeah.
And so now you get these strikers that can, come in, pow, and then come out.
What is that called? There's Wonderboy. It wasn't kickboxing, was it?
I thought it was a Ryokushin. Was it?
Oh.
I don't know. MVP came from a karate background. I know that.
Well, no, I know Wonderboy did too, but I mean the type of
tournament
fights or tournaments he had before, was it all kickboxing?
All I know is like whenever he's fighting in the UFC, the announcers are always saying he was undefeated in kickboxing.
Okay. That may have been what it was. It was a kickboxing type tournament. See, and that's what I'm saying. Like that's one of the things I think that's so effective about jiu-jitsu. I don't necessarily believe that grappling is the end-all, be-all art. What I do believe is that grappling is something you can do day in, day out, every day, and drill yourself in with these deep understanding. I can't take a punch all day, right? If I could,
hell no,
it'd be amazing. I'm sure that I could just become an amazing boxer if I could take it day in, day out. But in grappling, you can do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
Pathways.
And against all these different styles, against all these different body types. I mean, it's one thing to go against a white belt that outweighs you by 40 pounds. That's a totally different thing. But you learn it. You know the difference, right? And so I think that's why it's so effective. That's why everybody can do it. And that's why, you get punched in the head from behind, you fall to the ground. That's the reason why you can do it, because you drilled it so deeply into your head.
Okay, so now that we've lost all of our followers that aren't fight fans, now that we lost all of them, I've got a very important question for Mike.
All right.
Mike, tonight, are we going to watch it?
Oh, of course.
Are we? Because you know what? And for all those who don't know, we're talking about Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones. Brock, you don't know anything about Game of Thrones, do you?
Never going to watch it.
Never. Okay, you know what? We've talked about this. Mike, go ahead. Spill.
We feel like there's a group of people that whenever something gets popular, they just decide not to be a part of it just so they can be like the hater on the outside.
The hipster.
I'm not a hater.
He's a hipster.
Right.
Wait. He says he's not a hater, but what did he just say?
He's never going to watch
Never. And he put emphasis on never.
Never going to watch it.
Never. Why? You feel like you're better than us?
No. I don't like George R. R. Martin.
Why not? Wait.
Because back in the 90s when I was reading his books, didn't like him then. And I also understand that he's a guy that conceptualizes that there's no such thing as a villain. And all this is the epitome of that work of there's no such thing as a villain. Everybody's a hero on their side of the morality. And so I'm fine with that. That's a fine viewpoint to take on life. And you just throw in a little sex and a little dragons, and there we go. I don't need it.
All right, did you ever get through one of his books?
Yes.
All right, so in the span of 3 minutes, Mike, not only has he told us he's never gonna watch it, but he also told us he read the books.
Right.
So Brock, you're the epitome of everybody that thinks they're better.
No, I don't think the books are better.
All right, so the nobody's a hero thing that drags on a really good Sam Harris talk point that I wanted to go into.
Okay. Hit me.
First, I want to keep talking about the episode though, because me and Mike were getting into it.
Did y'all watch the leaked episode?
No,
I didn't. No.
Okay.
no, we
Y'all
haven't.
kept the high ground?
Yes.
I don't know if it was that or we didn't have any time.
Yeah, well, there's that
That's
too.
true. I mean, just to throw that out there, y'all,
We just hit 3 talking points.
Yeah.
Look, we got to
You
go
gotta
one
stick on
direction.
one.
I can
All
go
right,
any direction. I
Game
want
of
to.
Thrones. Game of Thrones. I feel like all the last episodes have sucked.
Yeah, there was one good episode so far, really.
Yeah,
and that was when the dragon burned everybody down.
That was kind of cool, but
Yeah.
nobody died.
Not really.
And I like it whenever main characters die
Yeah.
and they're turning Dillon. I almost said, no, I'm not going to watch it tonight. I almost said that. But if you're there, I'll be there and I'll bring pizza.
You ate wings last night, and now you're eating pizza tonight.
Look, if you want to sit here on
Might
your
have had
hot,
pizza yesterday, too.
Oh, so now the truth is coming out.
but Dillon, you're an athlete.
No, I mean, I think it's important to take breaks, especially after some back-to-back fights, back-to-back jiu-jitsu tournaments. I mean, you gave yourself no break, really, the last 4 weeks.
Well, I mean, we've got even bigger shit coming up this month.
Yeah.
Atlanta.
You going to Atlanta? You heard it here. He's going to go try some IBJJF.
Okay, so yeah, the past few episodes, they've all been terrible, and I feel like there's been no consequence. And I don't know what the separation between the books, this being the end of the books.
Oh, no, they've deviated
Yeah,
from the
I
books
think we're past
greatly
the books at
already.
this point.
Yeah. And he's in such poor health, he's probably not going to finish the hard copies until after he's dead, to be honest with you, at this point. But he's sat down with them and gave them the map of what he thought, but they've even deviated off of the books already.
What do you think, Mike?
HBO just trying to sell.
I don't know anything about the books. I didn't read any
See,
of them.
I read.
So I don't know.
I read one, but I'm not going to talk about it.
No, I mean, look, I grew up elbow deep in J.R.R. Tolkien, Frank Soderbergh. I did a lot of sci-fi reading, thinking that they would be the modern mythos. When I was 14, 15, thinking that the modern mythos would be found there. And then along came Harry Potter, and, all she did was do the Bible over again, and everybody fell in love with it. I just chuckle every time. So I've discovered we're just recycling mythos at this point.
Maybe that's all it's ever been.
How do you feel about Dune,
Dune,
Yeah.
like the movie or
the series, the sci-fi series Dune?
Oh, they've made it into a series. See, I didn't know that.
I mean, it was always a series. They made that one movie that was,
Yeah, it was. I say I didn't know it was a series.
great book, great series of
Yeah.
books. But you said you're into sci-fi. That's like my favorite
I'm
book.
not really into sci-fi.
Yeah.
What you may not know
Now he's
is
not
I just
into sci-fi.
no. I don't judge things for their genre.
Mm-hmm.
I consume books for the sake of consuming a book. I don't even know how to put that. It's a book. Let me consume it, see what's in there. I'll read war fiction, and then I'll turn around and read a war nonfiction. Then I'll read a philosophy book.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like you put everything in your mouth, and eventually something will taste good. Right?
Right. But I don't judge the book by its cover.
See, I'm way too judgmental. I can't read unless it really drags me in, and it's been a while.
No, like I've said before, there's a lot of philosophy that I read. I called it at the time dry bread. I consume it to see what's being said. Even postmodernism, which is just retarded. I'll say it. It's stupid. But they sell it like it's freaking hotcakes, pancakes with syrup all over it.
So for the gentlemen like myself that don't know what postmodernism is,
You never heard Jordan Peterson talk about it?
I have,
Oh,
and I listen to
okay.
Jordan Peterson, but like there's a lot of, I guess, phrases that come across that I don't really understand so much as the explanation of them. Like I'll hear that word and it won't really register.
Mm-hmm.
So explain postmodernism, because now that you mention it, I've heard Jordan Peterson say it a lot.
Yeah, he talks about it a lot because he dislikes it.
So what?
Way more than I do.
Yeah. So give me a little rundown, and then I'll be like, oh, when he talks about so and so.
Well, I mean, there is some so and so's, but basically somewhere around the 70s, for the most part, the French started coming up with this philosophy that has been categorized as postmodern, and in it basically doesn't allow for a societal moral compass. It's basically, how does Mike feel about it? And this is why microaggressions and all these things, and even the way transgenderism has fed into it, because it's all about how he feels, not about how it feels not about how it overall fits into the scope of society.
Well, I mean, everybody has their own little universe, so there's going to be tons of clashes, right?
No.
Because if it's about how Mike feels, then it's also about how Dillon feels.
Right.
It's about how Brock feels.
Right.
So if I feel completely different from you...
So in 5 seconds, you've destroyed the how it tries to stand.
There are no legs.
But yet, it is the calling card.
Okay.
And it becomes a backdoor for communism.
Okay, so whenever Jordan always talks about postmodernism, he mentions the movement into transgender equality and everything else. So I can clump all that together.
It gets fed into it because what happens is the philosopher in college brings it up and acts like it's the greatest thing ever and sells it to these kids with very malleable minds and who also have no earth-shattering experiences. Yeah, they've seen no true violence, and they've seen no true hunger, and they've seen no true pain. So they really think that the world is a good place. Mm-hmm. And so they think that, I can trust humans, which, I have a problem trusting my own self.
I've got something great here. The more people I talk to, the people I find into postmodernism, thoughts are very little. It is a very small amount of people, and most people are just like us, and just the average person doesn't believe in that type of philosophy, even if they know nothing about it. And I listened to a talk between Sam Harris and two professors at a university, and they're really committed to believing that all these major outcries of society and overturning liberal rights movements are all minority, major minority causes.
I believe that, that the loudest, squeakiest wheel gets the most oil. And, we now live in a world where if you look at a bell curve, it's the far end of one spectrum and the far end of the other that are yang-yang each other, and everybody else is going, what?
Who's the guy that got public notoriety for being the teacher that was threatened and abused, and his family was threatened because he came to school?
Talking about the Evergreen College?
Yeah.
Barry Weinstein?
Yeah, so this guy, they had a no whites day, so no whites can come to school, and he was like, this is my job, I'm coming anyways, and the students rioted.
Liberal Jew, by the way.
Yeah.
Wait, that seems crazy to me in the first place.
So let me tell you the story.
Yeah.
So Evergreen College, and this is... there's actually a podcast you can see, the JRE podcast, not to harp on it, but it's a great one to go out there and watch because the guy came on and talked for 3 hours. A liberal Jew, straight up, has went to Evergreen College and taught there for years. They've always had basically a day without minorities, which is the day that none of the minorities show up, including the staff workers, students, teachers. They just don't show up that day.
It's kind of like to show the impact that minorities have on the community.
Which is,
it's realize, it sounded a little racist at first.
No, they do it.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Those
I just
groups
think
do
the
it.
purpose for a minute. That makes sense.
Hey, this is how important we are in our community. Look, you need us. We're the teachers, we're the students, we're the student body. We make up a large percent of what's going on.
Which is fine. That is a okay way to go.
Empowering.
That's an empowering way to do it.
Right.
And they've been doing that since the 60s. This is a deep tradition of theirs. Well, this year, I guess you guys say last year now.
What year is it?
I don't know. Oh, yeah, this year they decided to flip it on its head and told the white people to not show up in emails.
What does that even mean? The white people.
Obviously, a liberal Jew.
Mike's been to like 8 different white countries, and all of them are different, right?
Yeah,
Mike?
yeah.
True. Yeah. I mean, everybody's different, but everywhere I go, people are also kind of the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everywhere I went, there's been nice people and there's been shitty people.
Right. Yeah. Culture doesn't actually overwrite humanity as much as we like to act like it does.
It's just kind of the way they act around like that piece. You know what I mean? Like some people are always willing to be very helpful, and some people aren't. And then like what goes on around that seems to change.
Yeah. But basically, what ended up happening is he wrote and in meetings and things like that became very vocal about that's discrimination. It's one thing if you don't want to show up. It's another thing when you tell me not to show up.
Yeah, for no reason. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not even empowerment because
No, it's
not-
just discrimination.
Yeah.
And they blasted him for it.
yeah, but hadn't ever and what my
Which-
comment was going to be is hadn't Evergreen College always been a little like
Yes.
been the way over the top liberal
Well,
college?
not way over the top, but it was a. I mean, it's kind of like Berkeley. It was a beacon
Whenever he talked
for
about
the liberal arts and things like that. But it's everything in the last 5 years has taken up.
Yeah, but whenever he talked a lot about his criteria and the way he taught, and whenever he described his classroom and his
Very
his setup-
open-ended and very.
it came along the lines of I can teach whatever I want.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those types of schools that.
How do you not have a
What did he teach? I feel like that would make a big difference.
whatever he wanted?
Like, what was his class? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
if it's a philosophy class, maybe that could kind of fly. But if you're teaching a math
remember what he
class,
was.
Yeah.
Was he?
See,
he
now
was
I don't
some sort
know
of liberal
enough.
arts professor. I can't remember that, but basically, the funniness of it is a showing of the left eating itself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of and I hate to even say the left eating itself. That's just weird. But you know, here's this liberal Jew, and basically that he's getting death threats and things like that in his emails, and people are protesting outside, and he literally didn't come to college for
to
several
move his
days.
family.
Moved his family. You know, out of fear, and it was like, wow, for what?
yeah.
But like that gets national news. Everybody's bringing him on talk shows, and then you think about it, and it's like Evergreen College is one of the most extreme liberal colleges there is. I mean, wouldn't you expect that?
Well,
Like in other news, the most violent MMA gym, AKA, has more injured fighters. Like of course they have injured fighters. They're always hurt. They're beating the hell out of each other.
well, you know, that's so. You know, we like to commit fallacies all the time, but occasionally it's not a fallacy whenever you look at the most progressive of places and you see what happens when the philosophies get extended as far as they can and what happens on them. And that's like, oh, there it is, you know, which is the same thing for like Jordan Peterson's YouTube page got taken down last week.
I'm still on it. Are you sure?
Yeah. You
He's
didn't
still
see?
he's still putting out videos. Well,
No.
Maybe.
Other people are putting out his videos.
maybe somebody's got a fake Jordan Peterson account.
I don't know. He may have it up now, but last week it got taken down.
And I just recently hopped on his, and I really enjoy his lectures. He's
I'm a
like
big fan of his.
future of Alan
I'm
Watts.
just glad you're off the Alan Watts train a little bit.
Off? Are you kidding me? I'm still
Chugga,
there.
chugga, chugga,
I can do
choo-choo.
both. Surprise! I can put one foot on one train and one on the other, and if they're going in the semi-same direction, I can do a little split.
And they are. Just one is pragmatic, and the other one's all about the mind. Really, Alan Watts is all about the power of the thing in between your ears.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what it boils down to. If you think about it hard enough, you can do it. Okay, Alan,
not
but I still
necess-
got to get up and go do it.
Yeah. Well, there's a problem with that is because you got to have a certain. You're right, but if you don't have a certain mindset about it, like you said, you still have to get up and go do it. So you have a lot of guys that have no idea what it takes to accomplish things and to set goals, and so they're like, all right, let me just think about it a lot, and they don't do anything else. Like thoughts require action.
That's why I just roll all the way back to Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus and just look at 2,000-year-old Stoic philosophers.
That's always been my problem with philosophy. I mean, I understand it has its value, but to me, it's always just thinking about thinking and thinking about how we
Yeah.
think and things like that. And I think when Halleck came to our gym, he says, I don't care what we believe in, it's about your actions.
Absolutely.
And that's how I feel, really.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I don't care what you think about, just what you're doing matters to me.
I mean,
Well,
And when you text that, just look at what
did.
he said, and then my very first response was Marcus Aurelius said, "Stop thinking about being a good man and just be one."
Yeah.
And I was like, and the beauty of that is they're both saying the same thing.
Exactly.
2,000 years later.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I love. I don't know if you know who Pedicus was. A Pedicus.
I mean, I know the name, but I'm not big into philosophy.
I've seen it
okay.
on white girl quotes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whatever. He was born a slave, a Greek slave, and by the time he died, he was a free man philosopher. And the thing I love about him is he literally went through the worst of mankind, through some of the worst times of mankind, even with its gilded cage of Greek slavery. Right? They were free, but they weren't free. He went through some of just the worst, and yet he came out, saying, "Just do it." Just put it all aside and just do it. And then you roll forward, was it 50 years or 100 years? And then Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, writes the book Meditations, which in many ways praises Epictetus, saying the same thing. So a philosophy written by a slave and a Roman emperor, to me, requires a moment's pause to read. Maybe we should look at this.
Well, I think it's a lot like you talk about mythos, like you realize it's all just recycling itself.
Yes.
And whenever we get to philosophy and like major, if you want to say, quotes that impact the way you look at the world, it really just kind of recycles itself.
Yeah, that it's just repackaging.
I look at Bruce Lee say the exact same thing Miyamoto Musashi said 400 years ago, and he's saying the exact same thing that so-and-so said.
Right, and I mean, probably the best thing about the Book of Five Rings is the fact that Miyamoto wrote it at the end of his life. He didn't write it
in the middle of
the blood and guts and the killing all the people. He waited until the end, and he was lucky enough to wait to the end.
You need a little peace of mind when you're going to put all those thoughts together, right?
Oh yeah, but I mean the way it comes out. If you're going to be a gardener, be the best gardener. There is a zen in the and you could tell that Buddhism had started influencing his life and things like that. But I mean, it came out in such a beautiful way. And then you get to something like psychology, right? Where we start trying to dissect the individual and what drives the individual.
It's like, so for all the people that are like, oh shit, there's no way I could ever read those books. Like, if I can read the Book of Five Rings, you can read the Book of Five Rings. That's one thing that's always impressed me about Eastern philosophy, is somewhere along the lines of translating it. There's never any goofing around. Like, the Japanese and even the Chinese, they say exactly what they mean. Like, for the most part, like, I found a lot of Western philosophy to be thinking, and like regurgitating the point for 3 paragraphs. The Republic was painful. That was the driest bread I've ever eaten in my life.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're trying to build a utopia.
Yeah, but when you get through the Art of War and I mean, Tere Shigesuke's Bushido Shoshinshu, like all those books are, if you're a good reader, you're blasting through that in a day, maybe 2 days. I mean, I'll stretch it out for a month.
Reads a page, stares at ceiling for 5 minutes,
Goldfish.
reads page again.
Goldfish attention span. Checks Instagram, watches flying armbar, goes back to page.
So here's a question: how did you end up in Backwater, West Monroe, Louisiana?
Mostly, I got recruited to work here.
Yeah.
By CenturyLink. So as I said, I got my master's degree in industrial psychology. And there's a lot of different avenues you can go with that degree. I mean, they're all like within the HR sphere.
Yeah.
But like different places, different things you can do. And what I really enjoyed during school was what we call selection. So basically, pre-employment tests, pre-employment interviews. Basically, you learn a job, you dissect it, figure out the skills, the motivations, the culture of the place that you're going to be working in, the team you're going to be working on. And you dissect all that and figure out what's going to make somebody good at that job at that place. And then you figure out how to test them and figure out if this person is, the right for that job.
How do you filter out the liar, just the BS artist?
Yeah, it depends. So a lot of that will come through in face-to-face interviews, right?
I love waking up early.
Well, yeah, I mean, that stuff isn't as important. Like, we don't really dig into stuff like that. So, I mean, if you're going to be a technician for CenturyLink, right, you ask them specific questions.
You don't give a shit about his hobbies.
Like, no, we don't care about your hobbies, right? So, like, give me an example in time in the past where you've, split fiber optic cable and you've done work like that. And you can't really lie on stuff like that.
Because then it becomes a technical thing.
Exactly,
right?
yeah. So we drill it. Like I was saying, we break down the job, and then we figure out how to get into each piece of that job. And so you'll either be inconsistent, and that'll come across, or you'll just flat out be wrong, or you won't be able to answer the questions.
Now, you see, if we believe in what the media and everyone else tells us, like, we assume that you're asking about his hobbies and you want to know all this. Like, there's no real. I mean, it's all.
And it's a relatively new field, so it's still growing. Basically, it was originally started either during World War I or World War II. I think World War I, when they began, it was the Army A and Army B tests, where they were deciding what part of the Army you would be best in.
The ASVAB stuff.
Yeah, so that's where it started.
Still around.
Yeah.
But then, like, you hear in the media, like, Google asking you questions like, you're shrunk down and you're in the bottom of a blender. How do you get out? That stuff doesn't work.
That's not real, is it?
And we run statistics and we run tests to make sure that what we do works. It's called validity testing.
Right.
And basically what you do is you have people take your test and then you have their performance and you match them up. And so if the people that are scoring high on the test also have high performance, people that score lower on the test also have low performance, that's how you see if the test is actually working.
So it's numbers.
Yeah, it's numbers.
Well, it's trying to put a statistical analysis to
human behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's cool. I enjoy it. But long story short, how that got me down here was I really enjoyed the selection piece. And if you want to be in a specific field, it's hard to find exactly what you want. And actually, randomly, I got recruited for it. And I decided to come down here, interviewed, and went for it.
Mike's a smart motherfucker.
Right.
He hides it.
What
He's
are you
like,
what are you doing getting hit in the face with me every night?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
You're way too smart for that. I think you're like, oh, Mike's just like me, and then you start talking about your job, and I was like, why is he letting me hit him in the face?
I had
why is
nothing
he
to
hitting
do.
me in the face?
I moved down here and I had nothing to do, I wrestled in high school, and I just was looking for something to fill my time, looking to meet some new people. And so I randomly joined the gym, found out it was a very high-quality gym with great people. And the great thing about jiu-jitsu and martial arts, and the great thing that worked out really for me, is when you're, like, suffering with these people, like, I haven't known you guys for really all that long. But, I definitely feel like I've known you guys a lot longer because we go through some shit together.
I feel like I've known you all my life.
It's the great bond, blood and sweat. Yeah. I mean, people always mess up that little quote about blood is thicker than water. It was original meaning was the other way around.
What?
You didn't know that?
No, yeah, you lost
About
me.
the water of the wound and all that?
Whenever he loses me, like, I'm also kind of like, fuck, I bet Mike's catching on. And I look
didn't
over
get
there,
that one.
Mike's not getting it either.
I'm going to look it up.
Oh, just to make sure he's right. But he's always right.
I know I'm right. I just want to... I know I'm right.
God,
I just want
arrogance
to...
never stops. Welcome to the show, Mike.
This isn't arrogance. It's called confidence.
I know I'm right.
I know I'm right.
I'll never watch that show. I read the books. I'm going to pull you out of context one day and make you look like the biggest asshole on Twitter.
That's fine. Do it.
You're right. You don't need me to do that.
The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb.
Is that really the original quote?
I'm looking at it.
Give me a date.
But that's not
12th
backwards,
century German.
right? That's still not backwards. Cause
Yes,
it's
it
still
is.
saying the blood is thicker than water.
The blood of the covenant
Oh, okay. I get
is
what you're
thicker
saying.
than the
Yeah.
water of the womb.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit! Wait, so I'm putting it all together now.
A blood brother
Yeah.
is thick. Someone that you
Yeah.
choose
Yeah.
is more
Thicker
binding than the water of the womb than just he's my brother.
I'm super impressed.
I've always kind of felt that way too. I mean, not that I don't want to say anything bad. Obviously, I love my family, but like all my friends, I've always chose my friends, wisely, and I always held them really close.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of cliche, but a friend of mine has a big tattoo that says "Friends are family," and I really believe that.
Absolutely.
Because, yeah.
I mean, my little brother, he just shipped off to basic, but anybody I would have called an hour before my fight or a day before my fight to show up, look who was there. Like, all of my closest friends were there. The guy, Ethan Otwell, the guy I grew up with, shout out, he was there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people who weren't there.
I apologize for missing it, Dylan. Okay.
No,
Jeez.
not you. You just made a person like that shits and stuff. That has its own problems.
It's a whole nother level.
See, I'm gonna restrain myself from judging people with kids until I have one. So I'll never be able to judge you guys.
I know your wife.
Little subliminal.
I just have a feeling.
Can't
I'm writing it
stop
down.
this feeling.
I'm putting it out there right now that I think that there's going to be like 7 little Fraleys.
Oh, and they're gonna be beasts.
Yeah, they're gonna be scary.
My goal is to be.
I'm all about making beast.
My goal is to be the kind of father that Mackie James is.
Yeah, Mackie's
Oh my
awesome.
gosh!
Yeah.
Like, you know that guy, but you gotta see him as a dad.
Mm-hmm.
He's a beast. He climbs up on top of a swing set, does a backflip, and he's like, "Hey, Gage, go." Or Gabe.
Yeah, Gabe.
Gabe. He's like, "Hey, Gabe, go jump off that swing set." And Gabe's like, "All right." Does a backflip, like plants his face. He's like, brush it off, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, he's completely reactive.
Savagery.
He's not helicopter dad at all. That's what you
yeah.
said it. Like,
Yeah, helicopter dads and helicopter moms.
Yeah,
I hate that.
He's letting his kid go out there and get hurt and get dirty, and we'll fix it if something happens.
Right,
But if
exactly.
not, like,
What's really funny to me is the logic of the helicopter mom and dad. Mainly mom. You see a lot more moms. But it's just because women are amazing. Women are amazing.
that being said, I'm not throwing my kid in the water to make him learn how to swim. I always
Why?
thought that was really cruel.
That's what I did.
My
That's what
uncle
happened to me.
did that. My uncle did that to me, and that did
And you
not
sunk
help
straight
me.
to the bottom,
yes,
right?
and I did not learn.
And then you were terrified.
And then I was terrified.
No, but like ever since what was it? The 1970s was the height of violent crime, murder, kidnappings. You know, that stuff has plummeted since the 1970s. But yet people think it's worse than ever.
Yeah, but it's all over. Like, we have it with us. We have a computer in our pocket.
Yeah.
That
The
tells us all
oversaturation of
terrible crap
information.
that's happening all the time.
But it's a lie. I mean, in Amber Alerts nowadays,
Right.
the technology has actually sped that up. I mean, like, we've been to Texas so many times. Amber Alert, look
Every
for a black
time.
SUV.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Where,
sweet.
where's that guy going to go?
Yeah, we're going nowhere.
Drive on the road. Drive. There is some woman going, I'm looking for a black SUV. I'm going to find it.
That's
I'm going to get
awesome,
them.
though. That's awesome.
Right, but what I'm saying is your kid is safer than it's ever been.
yeah.
But also
100%.
people are amping up. I can't let my kid outside. Why? Let him outside.
Yeah.
You know,
I
but
mean,
the
yeah,
logic.
because that way, if somebody takes him, I got Amber Alerts now. Right?
Seriously, and then all over your Facebook feed, right?
Oh, that's
Been
the
missing since
worst.
yesterday. But at the same time,
So am I? That's now it's like a little bit of a moral dilemma. Am I part of the problem because I'm unfollowing all the people that share that because I'm so tired of seeing bad things? It's like, so now I'm, because society and technology is making it to the point where we're so safe that if you start like cutting away from that, and now I'm not sharing the Amber Alerts or I'm not sharing the posts, and I get mad at people who are sharing it. Like, you see what I'm saying, Mike?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, it's
I'm
I
worried
would say
about-
it's a negative feedback loop, though, because these people, it's always the same people
Yeah.
that share it, you know, and they
You're right.
perpetuate
But we should all share it, right?
in a
Perfect world.
altruistic society. But at the
guess.
same time, then just join one of those Facebook groups that share that type of
But
information.
that's all.
There's
That's
Facebook
all the
groups that
negative
do that.
feedback loop. Like,
Right.
nobody's in there to really help. Like, they all just want to see bad things.
Hey, man.
Most of them, anyways.
We're creatures of what we consume.
How about that one friend? And I use that word loosely. We all have that one friend that's always hurt, that's always sick, that's always in financial crisis. Like, that has always been the most aggravating person
Their
for
parents
me.
were, too.
What do they call that?
They're-
Munchausen syndrome?
Yeah.
Is
Well,
that right?
yeah,
I think
yeah.
so.
Munchausen, yeah, because
Yeah.
Munchausen by proxy is I
It's
make my
fine.
kids sick
Yeah.
all the time, so I get the
Gosh, yes!
sympathy.
Yeah.
I know exactly. Like, name is in my mouth. I can't say
Well, I mean,
it.
they're also hypochondriacs too. There's a few different ways to slice it, but
It's
yeah,
like-
Munchausen.
And whenever she wasn't hurt, like, she'd spill boiling water on herself cooking. It's like, oh, look
Yeah.
at that.
That's like the epitome of it. Like,
Yeah.
like actually hurting yourself on purpose to get the sympathy.
But it's almost like it's not even on. Like, I don't want to believe it's on purpose. I think, like, There's almost like a purposeful clumsiness now.
Yeah.
Well, that's the beauty, right? And there was a lady a few years ago that killed her kid, and it was after the kid died. You know, the kid was always sick. You know, there was all these GoFundMes and stuff like that for the kid. The kid, throughout its whole life of like 5 years, was constantly sick. And then once the kid died, there was an autopsy, and they realized, oh, she was poisoning the kid the whole time.
Oh, wow. You know, one day I'll have a situation where I'll need a GoFundMe, and like it'll really occur where it's like I'm in a terrible position and so needs help, like help me. But every time I see GoFundMe, it pisses me off so much. Like I get so mad when I see people post GoFundMe. Anything short of my house burned down and my kids are in ICU and I see a GoFundMe, I just want to punch them in the face.
What if you like start a podcast and you just like, hey,
no.
so I don't do ads, send me money instead directly from the listeners.
Well, no, it's a little different.
No,
that's like, well, you're putting out a service and you're asking for payment. Why even have a GoFundMe? Why not have like a?
Well, technically, the most used site is called Patreon for that. There are people that do it.
Yeah, like
there are podcasts that don't do ads. They say, hey, just give me $5 if you want.
I mean, I don't mean to brag, but podcasting is a service. I mean, it really kind of is, though. It's a form of entertainment for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Everyone listening right now is getting something out of it. Like, so people that want to pay for that entertainment, it's just like putting in hours on a certain TV station. That's what's keeping that TV station running because of the advertising.
And the same beauty for Kickstarter, right? Kickstarter companies. I'm not mad at Kickstarter. Make a company.
I'm not mad at Kickstarter. But, hey, I got this trip planned with Mike, and me and Mike are going to go to the Appalachian Mountains. Or, hey, I'm going to Worlds. I'm going to Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, and I'd really like some guys to pitch in. I see that all the time because I'm friends with so many Jiu-Jitsu people, and they're probably got a bunch of people mad at me now. But
what are they going to do, choke you?
Yeah, exactly. I don't like you. And, you know, it's funny you say that because I don't ever see black belts and brown belts and high-level purple belts post GoFundMes. Like, they go handle their business. It's always the, like, novice, like, up-and-coming white belt that just fought at Worlds or the blue belt.
They'll be gone in 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. They're always like, hey, chasing my dreams. Like,
no,
come out
you're not.
Help me do this. If you need help like that.
The one thing I found, there's two types of dreamers. And what I mean by is actual dreamers. There's the Dillon that
don't put
unless you no. I'm gonna give it the Dillon type of the one who he doesn't ever actually say what his dream is.
Don't you dare say it on this podcast.
No, but once you know him, you know what it is. Yeah. You know he doesn't say it, but then you're like, oh, yeah. And then there's the other one who constantly talks about it but does nothing.
Fuck off.
Nothing. You know everything about their thoughts about it. And some of them are actually really good thoughts. Mm-hmm. But they do nothing. And there's varying degrees, of course, but it's the two ends of the rainbow, right?
I don't know what it is. I whisper it like it's a sin only to my best friends.
And that's fine. I don't find anything wrong with that. You know, I mean,
because I don't
the
care
only
what,
time
I don't
that that's
care what
wrong
you believe
is
you're
whenever you want to be like a
actions.
Yeah. You want to be a world famous author, right? So you want to be a world famous author, then write a book. Mm-hmm. Nobody's first published work is that great. There's a few exceptions. Few. Most of those become literary classics, right? Other than that, almost everybody's first book sucks. Just get out there and write it. Just start hammering away on the keyboard. Do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that goes back to what we were talking about at the very beginning. I was saying, like, if you want to do something, I feel like anybody can do whatever they want, you know?
Yeah, and I actually meant to throw that out there. IQ just means how quickly you can pick something up, right, for the most part. It does have nothing to do with how much ambition you got. I know some really smart people. I mean, if they wanted to change the world, they probably have the abilities. Just no ambition.
And as somebody who uses these tests and studies them, intelligence tests are garbage.
Yeah.
There are no good intelligence tests.
Really?
What is it? There's like 30.
You're making me feel better about myself. Keep going.
No, I want to say like 30 of the Nobel Prize winners' IQ is not over 120. You know? They're smart. They're sharp. But they're not the off the scales sharp. You meet 120 IQs all the time in your life, especially if you meet new people.
It's like once you get that like 140, 150, you realize that nothing matters. What if that's the secret?
Yeah.
The super intelligent people just realize the complete uselessness of creating everything that turns into dust, so they take the nihilist approach and just shun the world away.
Well, then I'd say they need to relook at their philosophy.
Hello, darkness.
Well, according to psychology, there's two different types of intelligence. There's crystallized intelligence and there's fluid intelligence. And crystallized intelligence is basically like the knowledge you've gathered throughout the years. So like they're like facts that you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then fluid intelligence is basically your adaptability. How can you adapt to change, just on your feet, like how you think. And that's really, really hard to measure. So you can get at that crystallized intelligence pretty easily, but nobody's figured out how to really measure fluid intelligence.
Because you'd literally almost have to put the person in situations, right? You'd have to literally be like throwing stuff at them and just see how they handle it.
And they try to do
Some
it
might
by
call
using,
that leadership.
They do it by like using like problem solving,
Yeah.
like questions, but it doesn't really work very well.
Like if you're in the bottom of a blender?
No, more along the lines where they give you like a sequence of numbers and you have to figure out what the pattern is. Yeah.
And see, pattern recognition to me has always been goofy.
Yeah.
Because why don't we just refer back to crystalline intelligence or how'd you say it? Crystallized intelligence. Because, I mean, if the person has ever been taught this pattern sequence before, then it's going to pop up in their head and that's what they're using. So it's just like,
Makes it
well,
hard to measure, right?
Really, it's
like the pronunciation of a word,
Right.
Pronounce this word. I've never seen this word. Say it one time and then I can,
Yeah,
come
yeah.
on now. And you see that. People that read a lot of books, but they're not, they're insulated, as far as like, especially around here. They're really smart, but they never had a chance to get higher education. So they read all these books and stuff and they mispronounce words. But then I'm always like, you're that guy. You're reading books. You're in there. So you kind of just nudge them. Hey, this is how you pronounce it.
What aggravates me so much, and seeing this from Lily being a bilingual SPED teacher, whenever she taught in New Mexico, so many children were placed in the SPED classroom because they didn't know English or they didn't know English well. So you're looking at kids that are just as fast, just as sharp as the regular kid, but it's like, oh, wait, you're in 8th grade and you read at a 6th grade level. You read at 8th grade Spanish level, but you can only read the second language you know at a 6th grade. We're going to have to move you to SPED. And now everything's slowed down for them. And for me, if you want to talk about intelligence, I consider that child twice as smart as the regular child because not only can he read at an 8th grade level in this language, but he can read at a 6th grade level in this other language. He knows 2 languages, but he's considered less intelligent. Or, crystallized intelligence? To have less crystallized intelligence than this other kid, strictly due to the fact that he only knows, or he doesn't know his second language as well as you know your primary language.
I mean, you're right. You're identifying the problem. The part that makes my head hurt is trying to come up with a solution.
Yeah.
Because you want the kid to be successful once they leave school, right? If our end goal of educating our children is to let them be successful when they leave, then we do have to ensure they know English well. So it's like, what do you do?
Yeah,
Well,
How do you, I understand what you're saying. Why are we gearing them down and slowing it down?
how do you speed them up?
How do you speed it up? And yet you got 40 other kids in the class that you're...
you'd need an extra program. Have them stay after school for an
Who's
extra
gonna pay
hour.
for that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where it boils down to. And I've never been more mad at the educational department than I have since me and Lily have been together. And she comes to me and she's like, I can't believe this. And I'm like, wait, that's real? Like, they're really doing that?
Mm-hmm. I spent a couple years in the inner city St. Louis high school system, and at one of the schools I went to was it was a lot of different cultures. There's a big Bosnian culture in St. Louis, and there was a lot of people from Africa as well at this school, and they had an English second language program. I'm not sure how they funded it. It was St. Louis public school, but
Probably a city tax.
Yeah, something like that. But they seemed. I went to 2 different city public schools, and the one that had the English second language seemed to be the better of the 2 schools.
Mm-hmm. One of the problems with the education system, right? It's we are a lot of your money. I think it's like the third thing is education, right? It's the third and fourth, depending on how much we spend on health that year. But yeah, we spend a bunch of money on education, and it's so, by the time it gets to the bottom level, is so convoluted. But then again, what the needs of this junior high right down the road here is totally different than the one just a few more miles back up this way.
I got something for you right here, and it just came to mind. Like, I think I might have the solution.
Light bulb.
I might go, oh gosh, what do you think about the separation between education and sports? What if instead of making, because I know so many, especially in the South, how many schools run around their athletic department?
Because it brings money.
Exactly. So what if, and I understand this is going to hurt at first, what if you take football, especially here, you take football, you take soccer, you take cheerleading, you take dance, you take all this and make this an outside, because you pay into it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying into it anyways. What if you take all that and put it outside and you make it its own separate, leave PE in school because kids need to get off their lazy asses.
Well,
but you
all
take
it is PE.
Yeah, but
all football is PE, sixth period or seventh, whatever.
Yeah. Well, what if you change that? You make there an actual PE class in school, an actual exercise class, a nutrition class in school, and then have all the athletics be, okay, after school we're going to go to the football building and the dance building and we're going to take our kids there to a program you pay into, versus having schools rely so heavily on how their athletic departments do for income, and then use that income that they would get from that on something else, or income they put into that. Because how much money gets paid for these?
But it's outside income usually for the most part.
All of it?
Yeah, through the booster club. You know, the teachers buy, I mean, not the teachers, the parents are the ones that buy the helmets and the pads and stuff like that. Usually it's not the school that does that.
Who pays for the fields and the turfs?
That's just part of the initial funding, but it
initial
brings
funding for the school?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll use that funding for, instead of a brand new football field that costs so much money, use that for a...
He's hating on a certain high school right now. He's hating so hard on high school right now.
All of them. West Washita got a new one whenever I was a senior. I know I've ran at every high school around here since we were in camp last. They all have nice turfs. Like, use that for a special ed come up school, like to get all these kids on a good level.
The situation's not going to be fixed until we have little robots, and each little individual robot teaches each individual kid.
Boom.
And I'm not happy with that.
Yeah,
I don't like the idea of technology being that involved, but
you guys step down off that high horse because technology is so involved.
Yeah.
I know.
And it's only getting crazier.
So that's what I'm saying. It's not until the day that there's a little robot sitting right here teaching you specifically, catered to you specifically, that any of this will be fixed.
A little robot in my pocket that teaches me Spanish. Like,
right, but one day that little robot will be specific in the classroom for teaching. It's not going to let you on YouPorn.
That's so old school. I'd never use that site.
I just aged myself and then showed that I don't know. I don't know, people. I don't know.
I'm off the education heart.
Well, you know, education.
I know nothing about it.
You know, I mean, the ultra conservatives will say there should be no public education. You know, and then the ultra liberals would say there should be nothing but public education, because you having a privatized education robs away from, you know, the split in the magnet schools and the charter schools and all this other stuff. You're taking your smart kid out of the system and you're messing it all up. You're messing up the system.
That it all boils down to catering to the general, right? Like, whenever I was complaining about the kids that are bilingual, I mean, when you look at those populations, I mean, even then,
throughout the nation, that's a really small number.
Exactly.
In certain pockets, though.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Like, for New Mexico, it's a huge pocket. But if you're trying to write the best program for the whole nation, you got to take the average student.
Which is the headache of federal education, right? Because there's someone at the top trying to write policy for everyone. Mm-hmm. Good luck. Good luck. I can't even write a policy for 5 people.
Right.
You know, and it not upset somebody. But.
I'm upset right now thinking about it. Brock's writing policies? I want Brock in charge.
It happens. Sometimes I am.
Do my orders start next week? You're talking about being in charge. Is that this week? Oh, shh.
No, it's...
Wait.
I don't know. Call Bryce here.
Oh, my God. Wait, but we don't work on Mondays, do we?
Nope.
Yeah.
I'm going to be trying to tame that
That's
jungle
right.
that all
That's
this
right.
rain made.
Federal government, 4-day work weeks.
No, the Louisiana.
Oh, we're not federal, are we?
No, I'm just funded federally. but it's a state program. That's
so,
the difference.
That's so, yeah.
Where the pot of money goes through matters.
Okay. As long as it goes to my pocket.
True that. Look, we lost Mike. He's just sitting there.
Mike.
He's all bored.
I was lost during the education.
You had
Dude,
no
I was
opinion
too.
on education? You went all the way through education.
Wait,
Yeah.
you're smarter than
Well,
both
I mean,
of us.
I went through public education,
So
Me
did
too.
I.
but it was kind of weird because I went through different public schools and they were vastly different, just because of the areas that they were in.
Absolutely.
One was in a very nice, predominantly white, like really nice area. It was one of the top schools in the state, and then one was inner city, predominantly black, and they were vastly different.
Mike, I know I went to 15 schools
Went to
between
15?
kindergarten and senior year.
Dang.
And I know exactly what you're talking about. And that's what always blew me away about like seeing racism, because I'd been to those all black schools and I'd been to those all white schools, and kids are the same. Like kids are kids, people are people. But like you said, one thing I noticed in the majority black schools, it was always more, how would you say, like more problematic. Like there was more kids that were falling behind and more kids that were struggling in the inner cities and things like that.
Oh man, it was bad. There were those kids there did not care.
Yeah.
And
I just have to wonder how much falls into that impulse control, though.
and I don't know, in their environment that they're in.
The environment they were in the womb.
And how they were brought up and everything.
I'll tell you what, like in the majority black kids, like whenever I was in those schools like Shady Grove and Rabel, like I could kind of level with the kids there way more than I could with the kids at the all white schools. Like I grew up with the really rough environment and like tragic and everything else, and so I'd come to school and be like, "Ah, so and so happened," and then my friend would be like, "Yeah, it happened to me," or like so and so last year. This happened with my mom, and it was like, "Ah," and then I get to West Washington, and I'm like, "Oh, this happened," and everybody was like,
Really?
"What?"
Yeah.
What? Or I was always the worst because I'd ruin people's pity parties. Man, I got grounded. My mom took my brand new Chevy away from me, and I'm like, yeah, my mom got locked up. And it's like everybody just got really quiet, and I'm just trying to level and complain with people.
Yeah, you were just
And-
trying to complain.
And everybody was like, why you gotta have such a shitty life? Like now my problems don't matter.
Yeah, I've been fascinated as of late about the whole, because I'm a big proponent of, we all start from different places, but with hard work you can get there.
Yeah, that's not.
But with the last year, I've been, really studying the prefrontal cortex and how, if the mother was under a great deal of stress the whole entire time, that kid's prefrontal cortex development's delayed quite a bit, right? I mean, and prefrontal cortex, in the end, while it is our emotions, it also boils down to impulse control,
Absolutely.
right? And I mean, I have kids, and I can tell you right now, there are times when you go, "Why did you do that?" And they look at you and they go, "I don't know." They mean it.
Yeah, 100%.
They mean it. They don't, you know what? You just now snapped them into reality. I have no idea why I was doing that. And you just got to go, well, there you go. That's human nature in a nutshell. And if, this kid is 10, 11, 12 years old and they're just now at the prefrontal cortex of what a 7, 8-year-old will be, man, that's vast. And then you go roll into their teenage years where everybody's making dumb decisions. They're just making more of them, so they get caught because the game of you do it more often, you're more likely to get caught. Then it's like, well, okay, I have had to reevaluate what I thought was. Of course, it's unfair. We just all have to try harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to try harder and hope they didn't get caught somewhere along the line because they really didn't mean to.
It's like I still agree with that though. Like the try harder thing. If I'm talking to Mike and Mike's like, "Oh, this happened and this happened," I'm like, "Look, Mike, you just gotta fucking bite down and grind it out." Like I'll tell that to Mike. But then when I look at a whole community of guys that grew up terrible and they're all having a problem, it's like I can't. Like I can say, "Well, all you gotta work harder," but it doesn't really. It doesn't really help.
We've been working on the prefrontal cortex for, if you want to go the evolutionary route, we've only been working on it for, a couple million years.
You got to get these.
We've been working on that lizard brain and then
Yeah.
that basic primate brain for a long time.
And
it just does what it wants.
And we're still, like, just scratching the surface.
And we're just now scratching the surface of a prefrontal cortex, and we're one of the more advanced, us and whales and some dolphins.
Are whales smart? Or is it just dolphins?
Whales show a communal intelligence.
Okay, another question. Do I need to stop eating octopus?
Why?
I hear they're super smart. Like, I still haven't seen the numbers on it, and it's hard.
No, they're incredibly smart, and they're like apex predators.
Like how smart? Like dolphin smart? Like me smart?
You've never seen like the video of like a guy fighting a dolphin? I mean, a guy fighting the octopus like hand to hand. Like he goes over there and tries to like kill it, and the octopus is like attacking the face. The octopus knows. The octopus knows what you are and knows where to attack you most.
That sounds cool when it's like, the octopus grabs his face. Like, of course I'm going to eat octopus. The dude was trying to stab it. I'm going to grab your face, too.
Right. No, what I'm saying is it knew how to defend.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There was a level of intelligence that it goes, I got to get out of here.
You going to eat dolphin? You going to eat dolphin, Brock? I'm not going to eat dolphin because that feels fucked up.
I mean, dolphins kill sharks, so I'm all about letting them be.
Dolphins kill sharks?
Dolphins
kill sharks.
murk sharks.
What kind? Like lemon sharks?
Every shark. Dolphins only.
Super skeptical hippo eyes.
No, they do.
Mike. All right, right here. Dolphin squares up with great white.
It's not one-on-one, though.
That's the problem. They're a pack animal.
Okay, fine.
They hit them in the ribs, and they try to get it to stop swimming. Like they constantly are hitting it from the side. And what happens when a shark stops swimming? It dies. They seriously know how to fight a shark and kill it.
You got like 200 fucking teeth, and I'm punching you in the
But
rib.
I'm the more agile creature. You always have to swim forward. I can literally stop swimming, come up, go down. I'm way more agile. I can literally fight three-dimensionally, and you can barely fight in a two-dimensional plane because you were designed to go and kill and keep going.
Okay, all right, fine. So dolphins fight sharks. Or
Dolphins only turn off half their brain at a time.
They what?
Dolphins never fully sleep. He will only shut off half his brain so that he can see.
All right.
And then shuts off the other half so he can see.
Okay, all right.
They're on another level, bro.
See, dolphin beat sharks, so that's why you're. What if dolphins didn't kill sharks? Would you eat them then?
Probably.
Mike, what do you think? That's a little fucked up, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest.
I'm not gonna eat dolphins. They're smart and they're really cute.
Look, if it comes down to it and I'm hungry enough, I'll eat a horse.
No,
Yeah,
comes down
I'd
to
eat a
it.
horse.
Comes down to it. I'll eat a person. Like
Okay, then that's what we're.
No.
When you ask yourself that question, that's what you're asking yourself.
So we're not saying,
No.
like, if you have
Yeah,
to. We're just talking
because
about if
we'll
I
do
had a plate of
crazy
dolphin.
things if we have to.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest. I'm gonna survive.
Oh, well, then you're not truly asking yourself the question.
Yes, you are. There's
a
a
different
difference
question.
between extremes.
No, because the reason I eat cow is because cow is right there. It's a dumb animal that we've domesticated that just sits there. That's why we eat more of that.
Octopus is right there too.
No, see, that's true for the Asian cultures that grew up on the sea and a lot of sea, I guess, living by the ocean and stuff like that. That's the reason why the Japanese eat the octopus is because it's fishing. There's an octopus. It's a catch of opportunity. Then it becomes a cultural thing because this is what we do. And
Well, I still see it right next to the tuna, and I grab it, and I'm like, oh, octopus, and I enjoy it. And I still see it at buffets, and I eat it.
Yeah.
But if you're thinking about it from a morality perspective, octopus is...
There is no morality in eating.
Why is he trying to be better? He's back to it again, Mike. He's trying to... Look, I want to know. Did you eat it if it's smart? If you have options? Because we have tons of options.
If I can communicate with it, then we have a morality.
Well, that's fucked up because there's a lot of people that speak other languages.
Exactly.
You can still communicate with somebody that.
Yeah, I can draw a little stick figure in the ground and make something happen here.
Mike, you take it from here. I'm done talking.
You don't want to play these morality games with me, son.
I'll never watch it. I read the books.
I'll never watch it.
All right,
I
let me
can't-
ask you guys a question that I've debated with a friend of mine for a long time. We're putting in a wooded environment a full-grown bull moose versus a full-grown Siberian tiger, one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
In a wooded environment, we're not like in an arena.
How many generations have they had this conflict?
What? They don't
Wait.
have this conflict.
Okay,
This is a man-made conflict. That's what I'm asking. So is this the first time this moose has ever seen this animal?
I would assume so.
Yeah,
Okay.
Siberian tiger fucks him up.
Yeah.
That's what you think too?
More than likely because of the fact that the most big cats move is to come up behind and bite the back of the neck.
Right.
And that's why.
That
I know the
was-
moose does have
Alright,
the
good.
specific antlers.
Are we all in this
You're on
together?
my side.
Hey,
my
hey,
friends are on the bull moose side.
What's your
No,
friend's
now,
name?
now my
Grant
only
Earhart?
Earhart.
my only
Siberian tiger wins.
and that's the reason why I asked. Now, if the moose has grown up 6 or 7 generations around this cat,
Yeah, that makes
then
sense.
it may have a chance because it knows. Oh, you son of a,
Right.
and it
if
knows
we
to
change
face
things,
it. And
if we put them in a pit that was just like a gladiator arena, I'm
Yeah.
going with the moose.
right?
or it's going to have a chance.
Yeah, it's have a way better chance.
Because it knows you're there. It's just going to face you. It's going to
Right.
do what it does best, which is put the front of its body toward its enemy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But the big cat has a tendency to climb the tree and just.
And pounce, and it's not going to see him coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was always, what was it, the ninja versus the samurai thing. Like, as much as I'm on the samurai side, the ninja's not jumping out there in your face and
Well,
trying to
that's-
knife fight
yeah,
you. He's
the-
going to shoot a dart from the tree and you're
Yeah.
never even going to
Well,
see
most
him.
ninjas weren't properly trained fighters.
They were assassins.
They were
What's the
assassins,
difference?
shadow men.
What was that show where they used to do the two types of people that fought each other?
Oh, well, on Spike?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember
Yeah,
you talking
yeah.
about.
I remember the
yeah.
samurai won that, and as much as I love the samurai, I was like, "This is horseshit. You never would have saw the ninja."
It's not an arena. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, that's the thing, right? Once the fight breaks out, if there's like 10 samurai and then 10 ninjas, and the samurai are defending a place and the ninjas are
would
coming. Yeah,
never
this
happen.
is a situation.
Yeah.
Well, no, that was where it would happen. Because remember, the samurai protected the Lord. And so the assassins would be sent to kill the certain king,
Not the
feudal
samurai.
lord.
Though. They don't give a shit about the
Sa-
samurai.
No.
They're getting right past
If they
him.
could get past him, they would.
darts in
Right.
the neck.
And that's the thing. Like any of these matchups, why would a Viking's walking
Yeah.
through the hills and he sees a Spartan? They wouldn't fight each other. They would put their camps on the top of each hill and barely make a fire so that they could watch each other, because that's the type of whenever these type of warriors get created, they avoid conflict. It's only until there's a risk versus reward. We're going to take over this village and we're going to get all the goods from this village and the women. Hey, say what you want. It happened throughout history. There's a reason why our DNA is all intermingled, and there's no such thing as any. I'm 100% Irish. Bull.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna have so much Viking in you.
What do people say? Like, what is it? Like something 3% of the population can go back to Genghis Khan's horde?
Oh yeah, yeah, and then 1 in 7 Asian men have the Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan himself?
His genetic marker. Yeah.
Do I have a genetic marker? Like
You
if
have to-
Genghis has one, is that?
Well, he had
That's also crazy.
he had a specific abnormality that they was able to trace back.
How do they know it's his?
I mean, now you're asking me the
Exhumed
research
his
of it.
body.
Yeah,
Yeah.
science
I
is
don't know.
crazy. None of it makes sense to me.
Yeah,
What do you mean you could see my DNA? I don't ever see it. And I bleed all the time.
Well, what's really funny is that how correct we were on the theory of DNA, like 30 years before we could even see it. Like the double helix was just a hypothesis, and then it was like, oh look,
Can we?
they're right.
So we can like microscope down to the double helix.
It's not microscoping down. It's a matter of you break it apart. Whenever they do your DNA, what they do is they literally like spin it until it breaks apart, and then they compare the alleles.
It's really not very hard to extract DNA.
No.
I remember doing it in biology class in high school. We extracted strawberry DNA.
The gooey stuff was the DNA, right?
Mhm. I don't remember exactly how we did it, but
Yeah. So, what was that? The funny thing about science, like the first time we did the human genome, cost it took like 20 years, cost us like something like $3 billion or something. Now we can do it for like $100,000.
Yeah. Well, vegans will be happy to know what the $200 or the $20 million piece of genetic steak that they made in a lab is now like $2,000, and it's predicted to be even lower, like as the years go
No,
on.
I'm on the train of plants know you're eating them. Plants have an intelligence, and so if you really want to talk about morality, you shouldn't eat anything. Just go ahead and starve to death.
I feel like vegans are never happy.
No, they aren't.
Nothing's ever good enough.
I don't eat anything that casts a shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Of course, animals feel pain. They're designed. That's how you survive. Your pain is not what gives you humanity. You know, your pain is just what keeps you
to Brock.
survive. Well, it's your ability to survive, right? You feel pain, and you're like, "Oh, I got to get away from that." You know, I mean, that's what that's for. You know, of course, you have emotions for those things.
And that goes back to the freaking helicopter parents. Let your kid get hurt so he learns how to not get hurt.
What's that? You know, I see it every once in a while crop up on Facebook about everyone should get punched in the face. One, so then you know what it feels like, and two, you realize, oh, I can get punched in the face and I'm okay.
It depends on how hard.
Well, it depends on who's doing it, right?
Yeah.
Because
I know
don't
a
get
guy.
punched by Mark Hunt, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't start there. Start with the guy about your size somewhere in your preteen years. Let him clock you one good time, and you're like, oh, well, yeah, okay. Your neck is a lot stronger than the force he generates at that point.
For sure, don't let Jesse Butler hit you in the mouth, because then you're like, I never want to get hit again.
That guy's made out of, like, just steel and ripcord. Like, it's... Oh, that's what happens if you boil a human down to nothing. Just what's left is just gristle and muscle, and a little crazy. Yeah, I keep joking with him about that wild look he gets in his eye. He gets all wide-eyed. You're like, Jesse, you realize you go a little crazy, right? Nah, man. You know, he's all chuckles and smiles. No. You go a little crazy.
You gotta be.
That's you too, Dillon. You get that crazy look in your eye.
Yeah.
It gets all Dillon just gets like this bulldog look of who's in front of me? Who's in front of me?
Oh, wait, you're on my team.
Yeah, hold on, let me readjust. Yeah. There's adding emotions to fights, and then there's the guys who fight with like no emotion. You know?
Yeah,
the Fedors. You don't really see any emotion cross his face the whole time. It's a way.
Yeah,
it is a way.
See, so one thing I've heard that I've never let go of and I always thought was really good advice is you can fight with emotion, but you can't fight emotional.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, but so you have to know the fighter.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody's got their own shit.
Yeah, you have to know who you're dealing with on a baseline and how you're going to train that guy.
And how to talk to that guy. Like,
Yeah.
that's a big thing, because the stuff people say to me walking out, it's not the same thing they say to someone else, because that other person has different, like, there's different cues and different kind of psychological switches for other people.
Yeah, and I mean,
like,
you definitely see that with sports psychologists now. Like, they talk about the individualization of some guys. They need visualization techniques, and then they're just good to go. Some guys don't need visual. They need to take that away. They don't need to harp on what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They just need to be the guy that you put out there and let them go.
Yeah.
But most people are still figuring it out, you know.
Yeah, every
like,
time.
We were just talking about it. Like in your first fight, you were you were ready to kill, and then now you've been able to dial it back a little bit, fight a bit smarter.
Yeah, and keeping that like composure. I'm not like blowing my load 5 minutes before I walk out there, because now it's like I'm just all over adrenaline, all over the place. It's like you kind of want to compress that a little bit, and it's like Brantley always tells me, it's like he knows, like I know that I can turn that switch over and I can get in that zone, but I need to save that. I don't need to turn it on whenever I'm going to walk out. I don't need to turn it on before this guy even steps in there. Like, I need to kind of save those moments and use it when I can, or I mean use it when I need it.
So, compared to your first fight versus the fight that you just had just a few days ago, how much more of this one do you remember happening?
All.
Compared to your first one?
Yeah, that first one.
Big blur, for the most part.
Yeah, and you know, I remember that first fight. I remember being up against the cage, and like, there's still that feeling when you walk in there, it's like, oh shit, I'm in a fight. Like, this is really happening. But I remember very specifically in that first fight being pressed up against the cage and going, oh shit,
I'm in a fight.
I'm in a cage. Oh, this is really happening. Okay, let's do some stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, you see,
I'm much more aware.
Yeah,
and I'm not letting it take me, not letting the adrenaline take me all the way like to another planet. And I think that's really good, because that's cool for the first time, but I don't think it's a good idea to go into every fight just jacked out of your mind on hormone, or what's it? What is adrenaline?
Adrenaline?
Yeah.
It's a hormone.
It's a hormone. Like, because that...
It is, but...
I mean, you're going to have it regardless.
Norepinephrine.
Yeah, you're going to have that adrenaline regardless. That's never going to go away, but you definitely don't want to just be on another planet.
Yeah, and I mean the same thing. I mean that's probably the beauty of jiu-jitsu, right? The first time you roll with somebody, you're jerked. White belt guy, he's all jacked. I mean, he grabs you, yeah, and you'll feel it, right? The white belt will grab you, and you literally feel the fact that they're
chill out, like,
and you're thinking
that was
Whoa.
me.
Yeah, well, I mean that was
that
was me too, like 3 years ago.
It's everybody. It was me a decade ago, you know.
You gotta.
I remember my first night coming in was on a Wednesday, which is a rough night for the gym. And I specifically remember just trying to go forward, push real hard, and you armbarred me real bad. Actually popped my arm. And I got up. I pretended like it was no big deal. I just kept going. I get home later that night, and my arm's throbbing, and I'm all sore. And I was just like, man, I don't know if I can keep doing this.
Brock was over there giggling. Yeah, man, it's a good roll.
But something made me come back.
I'm glad. I would have lost my best friend.
Probably the same thing that made you do wrestling all that time.
Yeah.
So it's one of the good thing about a wrestler is he already has the aggression, and now we just need to channel it. Now we just need to, and it's kind of funny because most white belts, the number one goal is let's take away their aggression and input technique. Mm-hmm. All right, now they're a blue belt. Let's really drill technique. And then, to the purple, brown, and black, you're now trying to teach the guy, it seems, when to use the aggression. There is a time and place for it. There's a switch to put on, when you take that Kimura and the other guy goes tick, 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 and he amps up, you got to know how to amp up. You just have to use your technique to amp up through it.
Timing, right?
A lot of it becomes timing. I mean, in how many jiu-jitsu moves are timing moves? I mean, there are certain ways to pass the guard. The guy just can't do nothing. Mm-hmm. Once you, and I enjoy those. I enjoy the grinding guard passes. But there are some guard passes that are like, and now. And it's knowing how to do it. It's, I'm a big fan of letting white belts and blue belts start in top side control with me so that I know how to control myself and give them confidence, because I have found there are certain blue belts that I put up there and they're like, I don't know what to do because they haven't got there. Yeah. They never get there. It's like, well, here's your chance. Now, some of those guys, they get there and they ramp up. They
start shaking again. It's like shit. Like,
but that's the thing. You have to let them get there. You have to let people get there. In order to allow them to grow. Yeah. I had a big thing, man. There was a long time. I was a 4-stripe white belt before I ever started working on a top game. I mean, I was a 2-year white belt to almost 3. But, I mean, I wasn't developing any top game. And, I mean, I was a 190-pound dude. And then somebody was like, why aren't you getting on top more? I was like, well, let me try that. And then all of a sudden I started expanding because me understanding the top position allowed me to understand how to defend it.
I find it much, much, much more common to get the bigger guys that have no fucking bottom game.
Yeah. Once you put them on their back, they're they're done.
Because these big guys are so used to muscling their way on top of people. It's like get on their back. They got no defense. And
their guard is almost non-existent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that a lot.
Except for the Troys of this world.
Yeah, Troy's so smooth. Yeah.
Well, that's a guy that doesn't really bring a lot of ego.
Yeah. None.
From the beginning.
Brings none. Yeah. That might be the coolest big guy I've ever rolled with in my life.
And it's allowed him to develop some things. And he does. I mean, there are times when his size comes a factor. I mean, we talked about, he's got these arm drags and stuff that I don't know that I could pull them off, but his ability to just, and you're like, whoa.
Troy's so smooth.
Yeah. But I mean, that's probably the epitome of what the big guy should be. But now Troy's probably at a place where if he doesn't use more aggression, he probably will just stall out where he's at. You know what I'm saying? Like if he doesn't start trying to ramp it up and go. And that's what I'm saying. It's that balance. There comes a time when it's like, all right, now I have to no longer just be playing in order to grow.
Yeah.
You have to set a lot of your ego aside, and it's learning how to be aggressive without ego.
Yeah.
I am going to go back to guard now.
Doing it for an educational purpose.
Right, yeah, right. And learning how to operate at 30% and going to 60% and then coming back to 30.
Yeah.
You know, learning your own volume knobs.
No more jiu-jitsu. Mike's favorite country. Go. And besides the U.S., because I know that was going to be your pick. That was definitely your pick. Wasn't that your first pick?
Yeah, first pick.
Okay.
USA. Dang, that's a really hard question. One of the places I enjoyed most going was Copenhagen, Denmark. That was a really cool place.
Small country.
Isn't Copenhagen a type of tobacco?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is there any relevance there?
I don't know. Maybe it's originated there or something.
Probably a last name.
I don't really know.
All right. My bad.
But yeah, that was one of my favorite places. Food was great. The people were probably some of the nicest people I've ever met.
Tall.
Yeah, there were a lot of tall people there. But just the culture of it, like if somebody saw me walking around, like kind of looking like I was lost, like random people would just walk up to me, like, "Hey, can I help you? Like, can I help you find where you're going?"
Fuck the U.S.
So that was
sucks.
super cool.
Well, one of the things about it's a small country.
Mm-hmm.
It's a small country with only a couple million people, and so they have a bond that you usually don't find on. You usually find it on like a state level or like a city level here versus
But
there.
it's
They're
countrywide.
they're almost this countrywide one culture. There's not a lot of different cultures. There's subcultures, but there's an overarching culture.
There's also this really cool like city within Copenhagen called Alexandria, I believe they call it. I mean, don't quote me on the time period here. I think it was around the 70s. Like a bunch of hippies took over an abandoned military base, and they created their own city, and it was basically like no rules, right?
Wait, Denmark hippies?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hippies
when
are
you say
everywhere.
hippies, I think of U.S. hippies.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same
Okay.
movement, but
Okay.
probably, I guess, about a decade later.
Okay.
And it was like a free state within Copenhagen. They
And-
said they're their own state, they're their own country.
Denmark was just cool, like, well, whatever.
So back then, yeah, they ran the place, and they would just get raids every once in a while. And nowadays, it's a little, because I mean, drugs would be rampant
Yeah,
there.
it was a drug thing.
Yeah, and there are a lot of houses there that are built out of just a bunch of reclaimed materials, and it's really cool when you're walking through there and like you see a house built out of just a bunch of reclaimed windows,
That's awesome.
and it looks awesome, but like that thing could probably fall down. In a
It's
minute.
not,
Right.
not practical.
It wasn't built by
And,
a
like,
master.
They have electrical
craftsman.
outages there all the time,
Lot
and
of
things
what?
like electrical outages. Like they don't have electricity a lot because they're not.
Somebody
funded.
got off the bike.
Yeah, exactly. But it was really cool to go there and visit and like see it. It's not at that level anymore. Now their jugs are just weed and hash, and it's relatively accepted by the government and everything now.
Okay.
But it's just a cool place, like seeing things like that, knowing the history behind it, and going to see it was cool. But really, the best part about traveling, my favorite part about traveling was not the people I met within the countries, but the other travelers I met. That's a really cool crowd. They're very accepting, very cool people. Like I said, I was traveling by myself, so I would just go.
Wait, so none of your friends came?
No, I was alone.
Yeah, that's what he was saying at the
Well, I
beginning.
mean, I knew you said a lot dropped out. Like, I figured you still had like 2 dudes that.
No, I was alone for about a month and a half, traveling around, and I would just go to the hostel bar and walk up to a couple people. Hey, can I sit down and have a drink with you guys? We'd get to talking, and they'd be like, "What do you plan to do tomorrow?" "Oh, I was planning to go see this part of the city. We were planning to do this. You guys want to join us? We're going to rent some bikes and go do a tour." So I would just meet these people, and we'd go, do a little adventure around the city.
Now, social anxiety can't really exist.
And that was a big problem for me. Like I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not an extroverted person.
Not extroverted at all, and
Yeah.
you went to, like, you went on this whole backpacking.
Necessity.
Across
Yeah,
a
it was
separate.
necessity. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And
It was
I
good
had a
therapy.
lot of great times. Like
What's crazy is that you had the balls to go, like, period, without anybody, and saying that you were a little introverted. Like,
super introverted.
because I don't know anybody. Like, I mean, I know a ton of introvert people,
Mhm.
but I know 0 of them that I believe would go up and do that if they didn't have somebody with them.
hmm I mean, it was definitely worth it. It definitely changed me. I met a lot of cool people. I met people from the U.S., people from Canada, people from all over the world. A lot of Canadians and a lot of Australians in the traveling crowd.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all super cool. Had a lot of fun times.
On a walkabout. I want to walk about.
Canadians really are really freaking nice.
Yeah, some of these stereotypes are real. They apologize all the time. They're super nice. Like, they're all cool.
I'm in a group of Canadian field surgeons in Iraq, and there was just like the nicest group of guys ever. Like, I was like, hey, you want to trade MREs? Like, I want to try yours. They're like, here, take it. Like, here, try it out. How'd you like it? And I'm just like, you guys are so cool.
You're a different animal. You're not the same animal. That's the beauty, though, right? Humans can really be truly different if they're raised different. You know what I mean? Like, we are products of our environment. You know, you can't deny the environment. Mm-hmm. You can't. Mm-hmm. You know.
What's some of the biggest culture changes that you saw, like, in Europe? Because that's where you've been mostly, is Europe, right?
Mostly, yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, pretty much only Europe. The only other country I've been to is Peru.
Okay, I didn't see any in Europe. Like, I stopped by Germany, but not there long enough to talk to anybody except for the lady that sold coffee.
One of the biggest culture shock areas was actually Berlin. That place it's a really cool place, but it's very different. They're very open to, like, they don't care what you're doing as long as you're not hurting anybody.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of abandoned buildings in the area, and people just squat in them, and the cops don't care as long as they're not hurting anybody.
That's like the argument here in the U.S. is like, hey, as long as you're not. I mean, that's why I see a lot of people moving toward. What would you call that? Like, in the same movement of philosophy we were talking earlier, postmodernism is, hey, if you're not hurting anybody, don't worry about it.
It can fall in that.
Yeah, but I hear that's the big argument with marijuana and everything else. It's like, hey, if you're not hurting anybody else, don't worry about it. So it's like that over there, though.
Yeah, it's like that. And then a lot of other things, like small things, are different. Like, they usually don't start, like, if you're going to go out at night, they don't start until later. Like, they eat dinner like 8, 9 o'clock. And
I'm
then,
down with that.
Like, in Berlin, they didn't, like, go out to the bars or to the clubs until 1 o'clock.
Holy.
And then we'd end up staying up until 6, 7 in the morning.
You know, these are also countries that have a lot more time off. Like, your paid leave and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like, a lot of the people...
3-4 times higher as a national
A lot of the people
average.
I met on the traveling scene have been traveling for freaking a year. Yeah. Like, these people they just, like, live out of their backpacks and travel forever. It's crazy.
Do I smell a hint of minimalism?
Well, there's a culture of, what do they call it, year off? Mm-hmm. You know, like...
Gap year.
Yeah, the gap year is very common in Europe.
It's very low here. And, you know, it's funny, when you talked about, like, you graduated right before you took this trip.
And that's what the gap year is.
Yeah, how many people, when as soon as they graduate, it's like, oh, shit, like, now I need to go do this, and I need to get ready for this job, and I'm going straight into this, and they get no world experience at all going straight in.
Well, that was my fear, like, specifically, like, I was like, now is my time.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much one of the biggest reasons why I went ahead and went with it, even though nobody could go with me, because I figured I wasn't going to have the opportunity again.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, what happens with a lot of people, especially your middle America, middle income, is that, you know, mommy and daddy don't want you to leave. Mm-hmm. You know, don't go traveling. Why would you do that?
There's such a stigma.
Come work at your uncle's business.
There's such a stigma here, and I don't know if it's a U.S. stigma or a Southern stigma more so, but it's like, oh, you left and traveled for a year? You're a lazy fucking piece of shit. Like, how many, like, as soon as you say it, like, people instantly, like, I always hear people, it's like, oh, you didn't, like, you went where? You had a month on vacation? Or people talk about, like, other countries getting less time working. Like, I look at it outside the perspective, but I still feel the stigma in me. It's like, oh, they get less time off work? Are they lazy over there? Or they don't like to work hard over there?
Yeah.
Or France. I mean, taking like three-hour lunch breaks is a common thing in France.
It's like, just the way you say it kind of rolls off the tongue like it's a bad thing. But, I mean, I don't feel like it's a bad thing at all.
Right. I mean, if you talk about my experience, like, specifically, which is obviously all I can really speak to, is... You know, it might seem like a lazy thing. Like, I got out of school and I went and traveled for almost 2 months, didn't work or anything. But what you're not talking about is what I did leading up to that.
Yeah.
So I was in school still. I was working a job.
Yeah.
And I was working an extra job. And every penny, everything I got from that, I literally had a jar and I stuck money in it. And I was like, I'm keeping this jar over there. If I put it in my bank account, I might use it. But if it's physically sitting in my drawer, then I won't touch it. And I had saved up over $1,000 just for the money while I was in Europe.
Exactly. And, you know, a lot of people, Like, outside of trips, like, just things that we do on the regular. So, like, we do a tournament a month. We went to New Orleans last month, and then I cut off work halfway through the week to go to Shreveport for your fight, which turned into my fight, which was crazy. But anyone else is like, how'd you go to New Orleans and then Shreveport? Oh, and you had a hotel down there and y'all did this? Well, you think about it, and if you're smart with your money, if you save like that and you're efficient, you don't go to Arby's every night. I know so many people, or not Arby's, but like
eating
Chili's.
out. Yeah. The eating out culture.
Out and going and buying new movies or going to the movies. Like me and my wife, we rented some Redbox movies last night.
Yeah,
that was
it's
$3.
smart with your money and smart with your time.
Yes.
Yeah, because everybody's time poor.
Right.
That's something that I've been on a big kick lately. Everybody is time poor. I don't have time for that. Yeah, you do. Go on, let's really. What was you doing last night at 8? Was you watching a show?
Yeah.
Was you watching a show? You know, one of the biggest things I've gotten on a kick with is like, guys, like, I don't have time to work out. I was like, look, when you're watching a show, just get down to some push-ups, sit-ups. Just do 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups inside of an hour. That's actually not very physically demanding.
Right.
100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups inside of an hour. Just do it on your one TV show.
Right.
Just do it. Just get down there and do it. Ta-da! You're in way better shape.
I don't think that works because that.
Bo Jackson says that works.
Well, I mean, like, it works. Well, I mean, my
One
buddy,
Punch Man. Is that the anime? He does like 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups. I don't.
Bo Jackson said anytime he was sitting down watching TV, every commercial break he would do sit-ups and push-ups.
Okay, so who's Bo Jackson?
Oh my!
One of the greatest athletes of all
One
time.
of the greatest athletes and quite arguably the best running back of all time.
Okay.
But he was a amazing athlete.
All right, so
any sport he did.
Y'all are talking about all this. I bet Bo Jackson is an extremely disciplined, badass motherfucker.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, but so for the average American, if you sit down on that couch, like because I've done that before. When I was in high school, it was me and my buddy Ethan. We used to, if we'd play video games or we'd hang out, like every time a commercial came, we'd bust out 10 push-ups, and every time an advertisement came, or every time a game ended, we'd knock out 50 push-ups and see who could do it faster. Like, that works whenever you're driven and whenever you got people around you who are driven. But just like they say, the bedroom, like, you should have 2 purposes for your bed, for sleep and for lovemaking. Like, that way you don't go to your room and lay there in bed till 3 a.m. at night because you're always in your room on your phone and have your TV set up in your living room. I mean, not for everybody, but generally, like, it's a good principle to, if you're going to hang out, like, hang out in the living room, hang out on the couch, don't hang out in your bed, because then when it comes time to lay down and sleep in your bed, you're not able to sleep.
Yeah,
and that's
because you've been there for hours already.
Yeah, that's my problem with home gyms is, like, if you have if it's not in your garage or you got some workout stuff in your room, and this is speaking from experience, you're never going to use it because I'm not.
This all boils back to the very beginning of this conversation, though, about the want to.
Exactly. That's what I was.
People have to want to. What I do is I just throw that out there to. I love removing excuses because people will throw you excuses all day. So I love having little quips to just cut down the top 4 or 5 excuses you're always going to hear, because they're always going to give you an excuse. You're going to cut that one down. They're going to throw you another one. You're going to cut it down. I just enjoy it from a sadistic point of view of just cha 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 cha, and just stare at them.
Well, it's always awkward because then you get them there naked.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I love.
Naked, and then
I'm not gonna lie. I love watching the moment where they're like, "Oh, it's all me."
The worst, and I know you could speak for this, both of you, is whenever someone finds out you're a martial artist. Like, and I use that word as we're all 3 martial artists. We all train on the regular and we better ourselves. Someone finds out you're a martial artist and then they give you their fucking history and what they did.
Same
and
thing happened.
What they used to do and why they don't do it anymore. God.
Same thing with the military, though, right? Speaking just me and you, but it's always...
That's the worst.
You're in the military?
I changed my oil last week.
I did this. I was going to join. How many people tell me they were going to join, but then they throw out the reason, and I'm like, it's not a reason.
Brock, you just caught me. I think I just mixed martial arts and military together. Like when
together?
Yeah, it was one thing in my head. Like, absolutely. Last week I changed my oil, and this guy just... He was so excited to see me, and he told me all about the rod in his leg and why he couldn't enlist, and he really thinks he might, and he wants to.
Meanwhile, I know we both know a guy with a rod in his leg. Just gets after it all the time. Guy deadlifts more than anybody at this table. Guy.
Well, man, you guys had that dude on the podcast with one arm.
Yeah.
Shout out James.
Yep, Mr. Spurgeon.
Animal.
That was awesome.
God.
Yeah, that's a good guy, man.
dude's such
That guy's the epitome of what I'm talking about. If there is no excuse, there's really not.
If there's something you
He's
wanna
the guy
do,
with
just
no
do it.
thumb, winning the thumb wrestling competition.
Yeah.
He's that guy. I take it back.
Yeah.
What a beast. And what impresses me more is he wasn't powerlifting before.
No, it's what he fell into looking for. But he was actively looking for his purpose.
Yeah.
That was
Let me
the
do
thing.
something
He was
that
looking
people
for it.
don't do with two good arms. Like, most people don't power lift and they have two good arms. I
Right.
got one. Let me see what's up.
Yeah, let me go pick up a car.
It doesn't have to be anything like that
Extreme.
extreme, right? You know, like
But that was an extreme man
Yeah.
in an extreme
That's what I'm
circumstance,
saying.
and that's why he found
But
an
even for the
extreme
general
answer.
person, like, I want to lose 10 pounds, then go do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can easily get that done.
My favorite
I
though is
lost 12 Wednesday.
I lost 12 in 2 days, yeah.
my favorite one though is before I get in jiu-jitsu, I got to get in better
Yeah.
shape. Stop it.
Stop.
Stop it right there. There is no kind of shape you can get into.
Yeah.
The moment you get on the mat, it's its own special cardio. It's its own special cardio.
That's what pissed me off is when I first started years back was the guys that were in worse shape than me that just clowned on me. That was the worst. Just like, because I was this super stud athlete getting into jiu-jitsu. I say super stud. I was well-rounded, and these guys was like, oh, he's a little chunky. Like, I'm about to run this dude over. Boom, armbar. Boom, choke. I'm like, what is happening? I'm faster than you.
I feel like he's talking about me.
I mean, all right.
No, at the time, I was in actually pretty good shape at the time.
Yeah, well, I was about to say, even whenever you brag about how not you are, I know what a strong motherfucker you are.
Yeah. But
Those shoulders, like, you're a little chunky, but those shoulders don't lie, like Shakira would say about the hips.
the shoulders don't lie.
Yeah.
It's always been a
silverback
funny.
you.
I mean, well, I believe
Deadlift
in body
from Kimura.
types. I believe in body types because I know for a fact that mass and strength
Why do you believe
not a
in,
thing.
Why do you believe in body types when it's scientifically proven ectomorph, endomorph?
Yeah, that's what I'm
mesomorph?
saying.
Yeah.
But
People that argue.
yeah, there are you against it, but I know for a fact that mass and strength comes super easy
Hey,
for
big
me.
big bones don't exist though. Can we all throw that out there?
Yeah, big bones, no.
Shut the fuck
Now,
up.
super strong tendons, certain muscle fibers, but you can change your muscle fibers.
Yeah.
You can get in there and train your body and
you could,
muscle
You
fibers.
could turn genes on and off too. That's been
Yeah.
the most explosive argument that's came up in science recently. It
Yeah,
just
the
blows me
epigenetic-
away. Yeah.
Epigenetic epigenetic genes, and we used to think that was just trash DNA. Like we
Yeah.
thought, oh, that's just your leftover DNA that don't do nothing, and then we get to study, and it turns on and off and does all these crazy things to your body.
Adaptability.
Yes, we are the adaptive machine
You know what
of the planet.
if I like walk out the door right now, what I can't do is I can't run 26.2 miles right now. I did a marathon last year. If I walked out the store right now, I'd probably get to mile 20
Yeah.
and be pretty broken down bad.
Versus
But,
like dogs,
versus last
you
year.
breed a
though-
dog, you pretty much know what's going to come out of there.
Well, what I'm going at is like last year, I could do a marathon any day.
Well, you ran
Like,
10 miles all the time
Yeah,
like it was
exactly.
nothing. Like you just jump out the door and go running 10
Last year I was
miles.
doing 10, 15, 20. Like I did so much running that my body just completely adapted to that, and my knees wouldn't hurt after a 20 miler anymore, and I was just doing great. And now it's like since I laid off the running, I got in a lot more sprints and a lot more like extreme cardiovascular thresholds. It's like my long distance runs struggle tremendously. But I know if I get back to it, I'll be right back.
The body
there.
will adapt.
Yeah.
It's just like muscle growth. Muscle growth is nothing more than continuing to demand from the body, I got to pick it up. 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 All right, guys, we're going to need some more myelin and we're going to need some more nucleuses in this muscle. We got to do it. He keeps demanding it,
And like you said, your training changed because your goals changed.
Exactly.
And that's a big
How
part
you
of
thought you should go about it changed a little bit too.
For sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Like once you got in the cage, you realized, oh, this is the things I need. Oh, this is what my coach wants.
Yeah. That being said, I really like doing hard shit, so I really want to run the other marathon too.
He's all for it. If it's
I just talked
the
to
obstacle is the way. Dylan's like, yep.
I just talked to Woody and Nolan. They said they're both running in November. I'm like,
Oh, I gotta start running now.
How do I balance the run with the workout, with the sparring, with what do I do?
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, what are you doing tonight?
Not running
Do
20
you
miles.
want to run a marathon?
Yeah, count me out.
Yeah.
I did.
I
did 10 miles in Bagram. I'm good. That was my.
I did that last
When
week.
as I crossed the finish line in Bagram at 10 miles, I was like,
I kind of like.
I did it.
I like that though. Like somebody's like, I ran 10 miles. I did that last week.
Yeah, just zip.
That was
Lay it
my
out there.
off day.
That's fine. That's what it is. Yeah, I mean, but no.
I apologize too. You remember Jerry Cooper was on last week, and he called me out for being rude to Peyton.
You was rude to me?
No, Peyton, that worker of
Oh,
mine.
yeah.
It was midway through camp, and she comes in, and it was the morning. She's like, I'm so tired, and it just, like, triggered me. I just went into a rant. I was like, you're tired? You want to know what I did this morning? My workout this morning was harder than anything you've done all year. And, like, I kind of went on, and she's like, oh, okay. And she's never said she was tired again, like, since then.
Yeah, what
And I
I've
was
always noticed, though, there are times in my life where I have thought I was stressed out. Like, stress, once you're stressed out, you don't really think about the scale of your stress, right? You're like, I'm just stressed out. I mean, you know, I'm at work, and I'm like, oh, I got to do this, I'm stressed. And then I'm like, you know what? I've done this exact job before under fire. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm not as, you know, like, my own personal brain was tricking me thinking I'm stressed. Brock, you've been way worse, bro. You know, and that's the funny, I'm tired. Well, okay, I've been, 2 days without sleep, broke on my back, marching, you know. You've done Best Warrior competition even.
Yeah.
You know, you've went with no sleep, having to do all these hard tasks, having to recite all this stuff, legitimately stressed out as possible.
Yeah.
But when you're stressed...
As possible.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yet, under moments of stress that were less than that, you're still, I'm stressed.
Well,
humans hang up their own selves.
Funny how your
all the
body
time.
reacts the same way. Like when I think about taxes, I'm like, "Fuck, I could do my taxes." like that stresses me out so bad, and that's nothing but just a little bit of paperwork. I'd much rather climb in a cage and fight another human being.
Can I just fight the accountant? Or,
yes.
I think I can take like 5 accountants.
My thing is like every time I feel stressed, I just kind of tell myself like, even if this goes completely wrong, it's not going to be that bad.
And you're not going to die.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Versus there are situations where it's like, oh, I could have died.
Yeah, exactly.
Right there.
Right.
Just think about the worst possible outcome, and it makes everything else. Or you know what? I always just think about the end and how one day I'm gonna be
How it's gonna feel.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on my deathbed, and it's like, oh, these dishes aren't bad at all.
These dishes. What would you say in the workplace? Because this is a big one, right? People want to be successful in the workplace, but yet they try to separate. They literally try to turn themselves off before they walk into work because they want to leave it all. They want to compartmentalize their life, their work.
100%, I do that every time.
What would you say is one of the biggest hang-ups that people do when it comes to the workplace that they could easily fix if they just did away with? I mean, what is one of the biggest hang-ups you see?
Well, it's going to be different in every organization. Yeah. Definitely. But I think one thing is I don't want to get myself in trouble here.
Wait, would you get in trouble?
No, I'm not going to get in trouble.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of people are always trying to push their own agenda. Mm-hmm. And that's not the best way to go about things. Like if you're
what do you mean, like trying to run it their way?
No.
Their goals are self-serving?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Okay. And if you want to get ahead in an organization, I feel like you need to be working for that organization. And that's one of the things that I don't like that I see a lot. Everything turns very political, and it's always about how am I going to get ahead, whereas I always try to make it about how is the work that I'm going to do going to benefit the organization.
Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for
your
country.
I guess, yeah, that works.
Yeah, I mean, well, so many people have their tribe with their friends and their family, but they don't have a work tribe, right? They don't have a brotherhood there. They don't really, I mean, I may have a work friend, but it's not a work tribe, right? See what I'm saying?
You know what? I think you got to give a shit though, right? Like that's what your argument
Well, you got to give one for the company,
Right.
Right. You got to be sold into the idea of what we're going to do.
But I think it ends up working out in your favor anyway.
Yeah. Well, if you play the game honest, you tend to win.
Yeah.
As long as you just keep.
That's
playing
how
it
I
honest.
think. I mean, it doesn't always work that way. A lot of people do it dishonestly and get far ahead.
I hate the guard. I hate the guard so much. So I'm trying to put this into perspective so I can spin it. Like help me. Like in terms of
I don't know anything about
When
the
you're
guard.
Okay,
when you're
hey,
hating
hang on.
putting up that drash
Stop.
tent
Stop.
so
Okay,
much.
so the guard, it's everybody thinks it's this super crazy like other job, like especially full time or not even full time. Like it's just like any other organization, except maybe the hours are even longer.
It was the
and
first
work-
organization,
and
though.
The work
That's- yeah.
is even stupider. Like, so how do I go about this? Like, wanting what's best for the guard. Like, if I took that approach, I'm sure it would drastically help our mission, our agenda, our plans. It'll make everything go more smooth. But I just don't care.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that the ultimate problem?
Yeah, that
Like,
would be the ultimate problem.
Yeah.
So how do you make yourself care? I can't answer
Put
that
yourself
for you.
in a
Well, I mean, I
position,
think.
sir.
Well, I mean, you read a book like you've read Extreme Ownership.
I haven't actually.
I'm giving you that book after this. I mean, the Jocko would tell you the one way is to own the task, own the goal, own the mission, make it yours.
It's not mine.
You have to make it yours, even when the water is bitter. Drink the water.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do that in training because that water is always bitter.
Yeah.
But you know the reward, right?
Yeah.
So the reward in those organizations, any organization, is even if it's drinking the water because you think that you can get the task done quicker if you believe in the task, which gets you out of there sooner. Even if it's
No, it doesn't get you out of there sooner.
hey, get you out of that task sooner.
So you can have another. All right, so Mike, give me another advice because that one's not working.
We were talking about compartmentalizing. I compartmentalize like crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even tell people for the longest time that I was in martial arts and that I was fighting because I thought it would automatically, put a stereotype in their head. And
You big jock.
Yeah,
You big
especially with like
meathead.
upper management and things like that. I was trying to hide that.
Yeah. So you got that knot on your forehead. from
Exactly.
Shreveport.
Yeah. Until I started showing. Right.
Had a jiu-jitsu tournament. His ears are all fudged up.
But I think compartmentalizing is a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I do at my regular job. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily hate my regular job. Like working at the restaurant, it's very simple tasks. It's very like kind of self-driven. Like it's never super painful. Like the guard is for me. So I mean, when I go to my regular job, when I get my shirt on, when I show up and I'm delivering or working in the restaurant, it's always like, okay, this is Restaurant Dillon's going to do what Restaurant Dillon's got to do to keep this place running.
Yeah, there just needs to be a guard, Dylan.
Yeah, there's not.
There's really not. You get all amped up before it even begins.
I know. Just talking about, never mind.
And I think that would be my biggest advice. I mean, look, I go from one step to another step to another step inside the same organization that we're talking about. And the one thing I've learned to do is not anticipate the struggle, right? Because if I start anticipating the struggle, I'll start going, well, this is what they're going to do wrong, and this is what's going to happen that's wrong. And this versus if I just prepare myself as much as possible, prepare my lane as much as possible, and fix everything that I can before then, and not worry about how bad, Dylan's going to screw up his part of the job. It's way easier.
So what he just described right there, what does that remind you of? Like, because it kind of puts me in the same mindset of thinking about our morning workadouts. Like, just beforehand, like, you're not focusing on how bad it's going to be, because I never get there thinking about how terrible it's just like.
I do.
But it makes it better just. Or sometimes I'll tell myself the workout's going to be even worse than it is.
I don't know. I always, before a morning workout, a lot of times I'm like, God, this is going to be terrible.
Yeah, it always is.
But I know I'm going to push through it.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, man.
You're going to make it at the end of the day. The day is going to end.
Yeah.
It's all going to happen. And then it's probably going to repeat itself. So
No, it will.
But especially with the morning workouts and with me going from morning workout to work to training at night, like I really have to compartmentalize.
Yeah.
Because of kind of what you were talking about before. I'll go into work and I'll be dead tired, and like I'll have to start crunching my numbers, and then people come over to my desk with, you know, a fire to put out, and I just want to be like, get out of here. But I can't.
Do you know how unimportant this is?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Come over here and ask me a question that you've asked me, you know, 20 times before.
And it's always funny how in view things become, right? Of what is important, what is not when you're really tired.
Mm-hmm.
When you're truly tired, all of a sudden there's a lot of things that's just not important anymore. It's like, that has no emotional investment for me. Yeah, I mean, compartmentalization is a great coping tool.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I like to say you have to know your goals, you have to know your objectives. And once you have laid out a goal and objective to yourself, once you've bought into what your goal and objective is, then you can start emulating it into life. You can start doing the action because you know where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so many people get froze up in what do I do next because they don't know where they're going with it.
Right.
You know.
But you always got to remain flexible.
Well, no.
Yeah,
That's
adaptable.
That's why I say have the pie in the sky, and I'm headed toward the pie in the sky. You know,
Right.
I'm still going there. Oh, a little derailment, no biggie. I'm still on the track. I didn't make little micro goals and little. You know, I think there are some people that are such great planners that hang themselves up because they planned the next 10-meter target, and when they don't get to that 10-meter target because of a fire coming up to them or, you know, some other little issue happened that derails it, they get upset. And then they get upset, and now they can't handle the next task because this other thing's whirring around in their mind.
Sometimes I'm a 10-meter target for sure guy though. Like I love having that next one. Like in between fights, I want every jiu-jitsu tournament within 500 miles.
Yeah, but see, you have a bigger thing out there. That's the reason the 10-meter target is there.
Yeah.
But also, if you happen to get choked out by a brown belt in an advanced division, that doesn't kill you. It's good training, right?
Yeah.
You've
it's good learning.
You've
good
put
experience.
You put it toward that big goal. You didn't get destroyed because you missed what you thought was going to be your next step. It didn't. The step didn't go as planned, is what I guess I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. Always, I just be prepared for things not to go right.
Oh yeah.
Most often they
prepare
don't.
to prepare, but don't be amazed whenever it doesn't survive the first bullet.
Those
of enemy
failures are
contact.
so important in everything.
Oh yeah.
Like that's
everywhere.
the longer this journey goes, the more I realize how important it is to fucking lose, like, and to have your heart broken and your soul crushed and come home from Dallas with nothing. Come home with injuries.
Yeah, bum knees.
Yeah, bum knees, hurt ego, all of it. It's so good. Would you say, would that apply in the workplace at all? Like,
yeah, definitely. I mean,
Applies to life.
Yeah, I make mistakes at work all the time, and then I just try to learn from it and keep moving.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it, it's really dumb a lot of times in the workplace because, especially in like something I do. Whereas, like, I put together an analysis and I'll present it to executives. But if I have one little piece wrong in my presentation, everything else is wrong. Even if it's right, you know?
Right.
But I lost my credibility just because I had one little piece wrong.
Oh, you'll see it sometimes. And, the Army has become very PowerPoint-driven.
Yeah.
It's very PowerPoint-driven.
Workplace the same?
Yeah, I'm a
you'd
PowerPoint expert.
And if somebody...
You'd be astonished at the crossover and how, like, relevant it is.
And then I've literally seen whole briefs stop dead in their tracks. Why did you change the font on this slide?
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, that has nothing to do with this content.
Yeah.
Nothing. You know, and it's literally... I'm at the point now where if I have a slide... That slide is so super simple. Good luck trying to figure out exactly where I was going with that slide. That slide is designed for me to remember what I was going to say. You know, that way you can't read into it. You know, that way if I do misread something, I can go back. Oh, apologize. I have it in my notes here this way. You know, I try to boil it down to this simple thing because it seems like there's other monkeys in the room just wanting to derail what's going on here, you know, and I use monkey because we're all dumb monkeys, you know. It's part of the logo, Gorilla Banner. Look it
I
up.
was about to say, it didn't seem racist at all to me. Like, I wasn't thinking that at all until you pointed it out. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, now I'm triggered.
Yeah, I
See, Mike
after I
didn't
even said
catch
it,
You
yeah,
just brought it up to me.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. Gorilla Banner,
yeah,
primates. Like, that's the.
yeah,
Yeah.
get over it. But no, I don't understand why humans aren't more content driven. You know, because we all say we want to accomplish, but then the actions aren't toward the accomplishment. You know, and I'm always amazed in groups how there's always seems to be someone in that social dominance hierarchy looking to just get a moment where they can go, look how dumb he is. He did it wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I see you for what you're doing.
Yeah.
I get it. Do you want to go outside and settle this? I mean, because that's the real way to settle it.
Yeah.
But then I have to put that guy in a box. I have to put Angry
In his
Brock in a
compartment.
box.
In
Yes.
his compartment.
Set him to the side.
He's back.
You know, and I try to pull him out. I wait till the jiu-jitsu tournament, and the guy's fighting the choke, and then I'm like, oh, yeah.
You think that's bad? You just, like, wait till you're sitting a table down, and as you're telling them where to sit, they just look right through you and go to the corner booth where
Yeah.
the waitress has already been sat twice, so now she's triple sat.
Yeah, and
because
now
this
you're gonna
guy
complain about her
didn't-
service.
Yeah, and now this guy didn't give a shit about where I wanted to put him in the restaurant. And then he looks at me and he goes, "Hey, can you fetch me some of this?"
Yeah.
And he used the word fetch, and for some reason I just want to watch him choke in his own blood.
Yeah.
I want to know if he knows. Like,
Do you know? Do you know? And that's one of the beautiful things about jiu-jitsu is you realize there are some guys that don't look like what they are. You know, the nerd assassins. You know, they look gentle. They look but inside there's a killer. There's a shark that just
what
swims.
is it? Ryan, what's his name? Ryan Hall.
Ryan
Dude,
Hall,
doesn't
yeah,
he
he's
look
one
like
of
the
those guys.
dorkiest?
Yeah.
Just whatever.
I feel like Keenan Cornelius kind of looks
Yeah.
like a dork, but he's amazing.
What was it? We were eating at the buffet at the Horseshoe, and like, y'all are here to fight.
Yeah.
Y'all are too small to be fighters. I'm like, what?
There's weight classes.
I wish I could have like put a bet on her. She was like, "Well, don't get your butt kicked."
Dylan
Well, I mean,
doesn't
there
care
was-
about weight classes.
No, but I mean there is
Extra
weight
weight.
classes, and then you know on top of that, most fighters are the 155 and down. You know,
Yeah.
the 170 is kind of
Yeah.
maxed out, but it's actually lower. There's not a lot of big human beings.
You look at the talent pool in the UFC, which
Right.
is the top organization. 145 to 150, or probably maybe 135 to 155. Those are like the deepest talent pools.
Yes.
Well, the average athlete weighs 160.
Well, the average.
Yeah.
It's not even that. It's the average athlete's
Average.
5'8".
Yeah, that's
Because
what
the
I say,
average
height.
human's 5'8".
The average
Right.
American is 5'9".
Yeah.
We're below standard, Mike. Me and you, bud. Me, you, and Brock.
The world average is
Been
5'8".
living
Get
with
over it.
The world average is what?
5'8".
Yes.
That's why you
Your
fall-
average?
Yeah, you fall directly on the average scale. Directly. Yeah, it's because of our nutrition that we're a little bit taller as a country.
1 inch is not a little bit taller. Is it?
Yeah, it's 1
inch.
inch isn't too bad.
Yeah, that's the reason why we get our 6'3s or 6'4s.
No,
And then
are
you
you-
got to remember the 7-footers. What do they do to the
Screw those
scale?
guys. Screw those guys.
Well, most of them can't really do much all at one time.
Yeah.
Knees go bad. They live a lot shorter lives.
It's like getting a Great Dane. You know that thing's
Right.
you know the hips are gonna go bad.
Or the heart. The heart
Yeah,
gives out
the
a
heart.
lot of Great Danes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's a Mastiff. That is a Mastiff breed. And, yeah, they just kept breeding it to be bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then, whoops.
Speaking of tall, big guys with short life expectancies, Antonio Bigfoot Silva is about
Oh,
to
no,
fight a
yeah.
glory kickboxing
Yeah,
champion.
Rico Verhoeven.
Oh, man.
dude.
I like Bigfoot Silva. Seems like such a nice guy. I hate.
Steroid user.
Is he?
Yeah, well, he popped against Mark Hunt.
Everybody popped. I'm not even mad anymore. JDS just popped. I'm not getting mad at anyone. USADA will pop you for aspirin too, though.
Well, the thing is that we say the guy popped, but then we everybody's like, Lesnar used, he popped hot. And then you're like, well, what did he pop hot for? He popped hot for an estrogen blocker.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Okay, so this particular estrogen blocker has been used before for guys that are off cycling.
Don't you dare
Hold
defend
on.
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I was
Hold
thinking
on.
the same thing.
No, listen. Has Lesnar used before? Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
But then again, we don't know what all has been left in his system. We don't know what his system does. We don't know what happens to a guy when you use these things for years.
I don't know. I feel like he's a bad example, though. He was given a specific.
Same thing happened to John Jones, though. He
Exemption.
popped hot
Yeah.
for
Same
an estrogen
thing.
blocker.
Yeah, same thing.
So we don't know. We don't know if it's in his stinking protein drink that he bought off the shelf because that's been proven
He said
before.
it was in his dick pills.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, what's his name? Said the same thing. Anderson Silva.
Yeah, he said the same thing.
Yeah, it was in my dick pills.
I don't know. I feel like he's almost the only example where I'm okay with it. Dude broke his dang leg in half
And came back super quick.
Let him take something to repair that leg.
Well, that is a good question. How come we don't let them use steroids to repair themselves?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why not? Steroid used to repair.
Because of lasting effects, maybe. I don't really know.
Oh, whatever.
I don't really.
Whatever.
Well, you can't say whatever.
He could have took that when he was 19 years old, and now he has those lasting effects for the rest of his life. I mean,
Look at
so how are you going to test for that?
yeah.
Once they've done it.
The lasting effects are so real, though. Like,
Oh, yeah.
You look at guys like that.
But if we're going to talk about the fact that almost any of them could do it, so then you're going to grow up and be a Sage Northcutt. Your dad from day one was making you an MMA fighter. He was sculpting you to be a pro MMA fighter.
He's also sculpting you to be a little bit of a bodybuilder.
So
and didn't
when
show you
you're-
enough grappling, so you can't get.
Yeah, but
ass
when you're 18 years old, all of a sudden he's like, "Hey son, take this," knowing that there's going to be a small boost, but really I'm just getting him on this one cycle set for the rest of his life. He has that muscle memory of stronger tissues. Hey man,
I know somebody personally that was planning to be like a professional tennis player.
Mm-hmm.
But
Don't tell people my secret.
Growing up, he was, I don't remember how old he was. He was pretty young, though, maybe around 13 or so.
Yeah.
He wasn't growing at the rate that they wanted him to.
No
And
way.
HGH'd
They
him
gave
up.
him HGH, yeah.
Happens.
He was an amazing tennis player.
Happens all the time.
20 years
on
from now-
all sports.
20 years from now, no one's gonna be a regular human. Like it's gonna be so crazy.
No, CRISPR will take care of it.
Who?
CRISPR. The genetic editing tool.
Oh,
Before
yeah,
the kid
that's
even
the
pops
thing.
out, we'll be like, look, I want him to be 6 foot tall. I want him to have these kind of
Designer
shoulders.
babies.
Wait,
Designer
did you-
babies is probably coming.
He's gonna have a head like Brock Washington. We got to fix
Yeah.
that. Make it a little
Exactly.
smaller.
Yeah, exactly. Can we raise this IQ just 10 points?
Yeah, just 10 points.
Just 10 points. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming because what's going to happen is at first only the rich can afford it, but the cost of technology always
We
comes
talked
down.
about it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually it'll be where the insurance company wants you to do it because they want to ensure the baby's healthy.
Yeah.
We want you to have the immortal baby. The baby's going to come out with no issues whatsoever. We will cover this cost. Just tell it. Do you want him to be blue-eyed while we're at it? That's
Hey,
only $5 more.
You know the funniest thing? It's one of my favorite memes is talking about this. None of us particularly like the idea, like, of the designer baby. Like, all that seems so off, but it's like 30 years ago, none of the people like the idea of what we have now. And you look at 60 years before that, and you just keeps going back, and there's always, whatever generation you're in, it's always we do it this way, and back in my day. And I love seeing the picture of the Neanderthals with their spears in their hand. It's like, back in my day, we had to hunt for our food. We had to kill a mammoth with spears. And innovation is amazing, and I really feel like it should be accepted.
Well,
in
it
a lot of ways.
always brings up questions of morality,
Yeah.
right? And you got guys out there like Sam Harris and stuff that they have this big debacle in their head already with AI. Like he's already grappling with the issues of AI, whereas we're not. But in 20 years, the common man may be like, well, do I want that AI implant because I want to reduce the stress in my life, so I want to be able to compute things faster? And it's coming. It's coming.
If I could turn that switch over for paperwork, I would do it right now.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
I could have like an AI switch in my head that lets me just blast through my taxes, or not even blast through, but let me like focus on it, because it's always the issue. I always do mine in like March. I get like really close.
Me too.
Get really close to the debt and really close to the moment where I like, okay, now I have to do it. But if I could just cut that on where it's like, okay, it takes approximately 12 hours to get done from start to finish.
But eventually it's going to get all the way to, well, I really want to learn this jiu-jitsu technique, but I'm really tired. So let me just click that AI on. That way I don't have to go through the tiredness. And then you're at home that night and you're downloading it all. Oh, but now, and there's going to be jiu-jitsu guys who got the special jiu-jitsu AI. Yeah. You didn't buy the jiu-jitsu AI?
Yeah.
Dude, you
had
can't
to
keep
learn it
up.
yourself?
Yeah. I'm getting black belt knowledge in a year and a half.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at guys that,
Where's the thrill of the hunt?
look at Americans 10 years ago. 10 years ago, Americans were not placing at all in jiu-jitsu tournaments.
Yeah.
Like, it was all Brazil. And even now, like, it's still majority Brazilian. But didn't we just have the first
American World's Champion? I
Yeah,
think? Yeah.
Like, and so it was always, there's no Brazilian jiu-jitsu instructors in the U.S. Like, you gotta go travel. Oh, you're not traveling down to Brazil to get your seminars? Like,
you're not going to California.
Yeah.
You're not going to New York. Yeah.
Like, wait, you got a Chrome Gracie black belt in your town? Like, you have it the easy way. Like, it's easy for you. You've got good training partners. Like, I got to travel every time, or I can only get
drive
good
an hour 3 times a week.
Yeah. I mean, there's always the you got it easier, you got it better. Just take what you got and grind.
Grind, baby, grind.
But as soon as, for real though, as soon as you got that tax AI thing, like, let me know.
That's what I'm saying, though. The moralities are always there. And I think
What's
there will come a
fair?
time. Well, I think there will come a time where there will be the AI human and then the human. Like, I think that we may.
You think we'll see that?
I don't know that we'll see that. But I think there will come a time where there's a set of humans that are not anything, and then there's the other ones that are jacked to the gills
That
with the
have
latest
the
technology.
ass implants.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's it, right?
We're already
those
there.
things are already happening, but it's going to be the technology, because some people are going to have a morality, even like their Christian morality or whatever, that's going to be like, no, no. And then you're going to have the other guy who's like, I want to be able to play video games for 35 hours. I only need to sleep for 2 hours every 35 hours.
If I could do that, that'd be not video games, but 2 hours of sleep. Like,
Right,
are you
that's what's-
kidding
and
me?
that's-
If I could have a sleep
We're going to
cheat
find ways
code,
to
That would be
hijack
I'd empty
ourselves.
my savings account right now to run off of 3 hours.
That's going to be,
I
and that's
cut
what's
off
going to
my
happen,
day.
is people are going to be looking for the edge, and they're going to set aside their morality for the edge.
Yeah.
And then the next generation's morality is going to be even further down the line, whereas you got these other people who are way over here, and it just is going to diverge more and more and more and
sleep,
more and more.
Sleep efficiency pills for athletes. Oh, you can afford those? See, I need my 8 hours of sleep
Yeah.
to get my full recovery.
And there is
I need
sleep
I need
efficiency
at least
pills
6.
out
there?
there for athletes. Oh, the
What?
easiest way to boost your free testosterone and your HGH, sleep.
Yeah.
Easiest way.
No, wait, but how do you...
So let me take this pill that has plenty of melatonin in it, has some stuff that does some things with you that kind of helps boost your HGH.
Snake oil. I'm with Mike.
but it's
Mike's
already out
super
there.
Skeptical.
No, the easiest way, though, to boost your HGH is sleep.
Yeah, but
Just
I
be
see
well rested.
I see sleep supplements, and they just look so like they sell it at a 5-star. They have sleep supplements.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this will help you get a great night's recovery and sleep for $30, and I'm like,
I don't know. I don't really buy into them with any
Yeah.
supplements, to be real. Like,
Yeah,
I
me
feel
neither.
like I get everything I want through nutrition, just the food I eat.
but I mean, if you've never taken amino acids, have you?
Not much, no.
See, the
But
problem
amino
is
acids are all the way up there.
scientific.
They are
This is
scientific.
scientifically proven to help recovery. My problem is though, is I haven't taken amino acids since my last camp.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I don't really notice the difference that much.
Exactly, right.
It's the problem. But I keep getting told. I mean, everybody tells me, and the science, the numbers, the crunching shows that amino acids help your recovery, and everyone tells me to take them. Like my coach tells me amino acids. That's what you should be taking. So it's, fuck, I should really be taking amino acids.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna help. I mean,
It's just the way it is.
I drink coffee.
But then again, whenever you're doing all these things right, we're talking about 1%.
yeah.
Right.
You know, it's small differences, but
1%
whenever
in your
everybody's
body.
running the same race,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you talk about 1% in your body, but how much in your mind? That's what I think the big thing is, and that's
well,
what I
that's why we
noticed-
do double-blind studies.
Well, that's what
Take
I-
this, and we're not going to tell you what it is. We're not even telling you what we're measuring.
Well, we don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
That's
don't know.
double-blind
We're
is,
just
yeah.
But it's like if I know and I know that amino acids are helping me, and it may only have that 1% in my body or that 2%, but it's like in my head I'm like, shit, that workout yesterday was tough, but I feel great. Those aminos really helped me. I'm recovered, and then I hit this workout even harder, and I'm doing everything harder, and I'm more confident.
the science of belief.
Yeah, I mean that's now it's like those amino acids help 20% because I put out extra effort in everything I did because I thought I had more to go.
But then what if you're more sore afterwards because you put in extra work and
Mike,
you're like, dang, those
Mike,
amino acids didn't
Mike.
do anything.
Well, I mean Thursday.
That's why you just have to have the sciences that say it does work.
Right.
You know.
Thursday, I mean, this is the crazy thing though, is if you want to look at the number, or you'll be more sore. Like Thursday morning, the day before the fight, I took on 24 hours notice up a weight class. I me and Jesse, because we were pumped up for you. Dude, we hit deadlifts and we ran the hell out of those 4 miles, talking 7:29 pace. And then all the band punching exercises for 10 rounds, and then the holds, talking about 30-second deadlift body weight holds at the end of every 5 reps.
Yeah.
Like, we were getting it. And any day of the week that we get it that hard, so sore. But that next day, like, whenever I found out I had to fight, like, all I told myself was, you're not sore. You've been doing this for so long. You don't even feel sore anymore. And, and I wasn't sore. I wasn't.
I feel like you should go through that whole story because that's an awesome story.
Not today.
Not today.
Eventually, you need
We're
to
already
tell it, though.
for
It's cool.
one thing, we're really deep. It's time to go.
Okay.
We're really deep.
Oh, dude, we're at like the 2.5 hour mark.
Oh, dang, that flew by.
Brock.
Oh yeah. See, it goes by quick,
Yeah, that
huh?
went fast.
Yeah, it
Mike,
feels like you said like 5 things.
Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
I had fun. I love you.
Hopefully
I
I
love both of you
provided-
guys.
Hey,
My favorite people.
well, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I really do.
hopefully I provided something to the podcast.
No, man. I mean, you definitely have a viewpoint that's so unique because you're trying to objectify what so many people do in a day-to-day, and it's completely emotion-driven. So many people go through their day just completely succumbing to their emotions, you know, and I mean, you try to quantify that and try to be like, well, people that are this kind of emotional, yeah, they can do this job. This emotion, not needed for this job.
Right.
You know, and you just try to pump that up. So, I mean, it's really nice. It's really cool to hear, you know, you kind of drill into that. And then your worldview on things, right? I mean, you know, we can talk about aliens. It doesn't matter. It's the beauty of this show. Talk about what I want.
Full grown.
Full grown man.
Aliens are real.
The earth is flat.
Extraterrestrial, like sentient.
Yeah, they're real.
Yeah. You think there's no way
I
that
don't
it
know
could
if
be any
they've-
other way?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think there's any way there could not be aliens.
Yeah.
I just don't know that they're more advanced than
infinite
us.
probability
Or
of the
been
universe.
to Earth.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe that either. But there's so many planets out there.
Yeah, why would they go to Earth?
There
I
is
mean,
alien
all the
life.
other planets are
Them bunch of dumb monkeys
Yeah.
down there.
Well,
Look at
I'm
what they do.
with all the other
Stupid.
planets being like round. Why would they go to the flat one? That'd be too Everybody see what I did there?
Yeah.
I don't understand. You can look through a microscope. I mean, a telescope and see. You can see that.
Gorilla Banter podcast.
The Gorilla Banter podcast. Hey, been a fun one. 20th episode. Appreciate you coming on, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
Gonna have 2 more episodes next month lining up. Got one guy nailed down. Gonna try nail down the other guy. You got your fights coming up in Atlanta.
Yes, 22nd, 23rd and 22nd.
So-
no, wait, 23rd and 24th.
So expect some pretty pictures from all that, ladies and gents. Hey, Gorilla Banter podcast. Always been fun. Dillon, say bye.
Goodbye.
Brock saying bye. Mike, wait for the camera. Bye.
Mike.
Mike. Guess what day it is?
I do that every